Happy Hour Friday starts now on a Memorial Day weekend Friday. What's up, everybody? This is the Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video streaming on the Twitter X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. How you be? I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Henning is producing today's show. You out there? Well, it doesn't feel like Memorial Day weekend. It's a little chilly, wet, rainy, cold, whatever it is, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a lot of fun planned for you on a Friday as we normally do on a happy hour Friday. You know how to get involved. Plenty of ways to hit up the studios, 609-403-0973. You can hit me up on the text board, happy hour Friday. What are you having this weekend? What do you have in Memorial Day weekend? I need to know. I have to have the information for Memorial Day weekend. I got my list, my annual list of the places you need to go to this year down the Jersey Shore. That's coming up in the 5 o'clock hour as always. My Friday 5 Week 3 NFL games. Mike and Bob, Friday baseball chat. Won't let you down, 3 o'clock. Phil's win yesterday. We had it live on the air, so the reaction of that, not crazy. Stick around in the 3 o'clock hour today. I watched the NBA Western Conference game last night. I don't know that this ever gets brought up, but I will go back to maybe the most disastrous night in Sixers history. How last night's game, and tonight's game, quite frankly, brings me back to one of the worst days possibly in Sixers history. We'll do that a little bit later on in the show as well. 609-403-0973. Text board's open. If you're watching the live video streaming on the Twitter X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show, you can comment as always. Got to get some thoughts on the Phillies, though. They're getting ready to do something that they did something yesterday that they have never done before. They did something yesterday that never happened in the history of the franchise. Think about that. They swept a team in a 7-game series by beating Colorado 4 straight with the win yesterday, and then they beat them here in Philly 3 times. So they beat Colorado all 7 games this year. And quite frankly, the Oakland A's, the artist formerly known as the Oakland A's, they will play them this weekend. And there's a possibility that I don't know that this has ever happened. Maybe Josh could get on the what is the name of the Elias Sports Bureau? Maybe Josh could be the Elias Sports Bureau here and find out, have the Phillies ever gone out west and swept a 7-game road trip? Because these are the pitching matchups this weekend. Are you ready for the pitching matchups this weekend? These are the pitching matchups for the weekend series between the Phillies and the Athletics out there in Sacramento. It's actually West Sacramento. These are the pitching matchups. Are you ready? Stop me if you've heard of these guys before. The Phillies will throw Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, and Jesus Luzardo out this weekend. Meanwhile, the Athletics will counter with 3 guys. Not one person, I would imagine, in the listening audience has ever heard of before. Not one. I can't imagine that anybody listening to the sound of my voice today has ever heard of the 3 pitchers that will pitch for the Athletics this weekend. Jeffrey Springs, Jacob Lopez, and Gunnar Hoglund are the 3 starters for the Athletics this series at Sutter Health Park in West Sacramento. I mean, really, this is and the A's aren't even that bad, honestly. They're not like they were a couple of years ago where they were just barely a Major League Baseball team. They are at least like respectable as opposed to the Colorado Rockies. They're 22-29. They have lost 9 straight games, though, going into this weekend. They had to lose 9 straight to go to 22-20. At one point, they were 22-20. 2 games over 500. They've lost 9 in a row now. So here are the Athletics with the pitchers I just threw your way. They sound like they should be sitting on the porch with me for Happy Hour Friday instead of facing the Philadelphia Phillies tonight.
They've also lost 13 of the last 15, have the A's. So remember that Pirates team a few years ago that had a hot start, and then they just fell apart the rest of the year? That's what this A's team reminds me of.
Well, there's a lot of people, I will say this, if you went to the prognosticators before the season, they were kind of a hot pick for a wild card team.
Good for them.
Well, they're not bad offensively. They have no pitching.
They have no pitching aside
awful.
from Mason Miller. That's the only guy.
Well, he's the closer, so he doesn't get a lot of opportunities.
He gets to sit in the bullpen and collect dust.
But they have a lot of guys on the offensive, that you got to be aware of. Kurtz is a high rookie prospect. He's up here now. Soderstrom's very good. Jacob Wilson, Lawrence Butler. You remember last year, Brent Rooker, by the way. I was at that game when Brent Rooker hit like 3 home runs in that game. Did they come here last year and win 2 out of 3?
Yes.
So let's not.
They were actually a better team last year.
Let's not act like they don't have the offense, but they're facing the 3 predominant pitchers of the Phillies in this series. So the A's, if they wanted to try to sneak a series win against the Phillies, if you look at the pitching matchup tonight, Jeffrey Springs, 5-3, 3.91 ERA, 125 WHIP. He's not terrible. He is a lefty, so I would imagine the Phillies lineup will not have Stott in it tonight. I would imagine that the lineup is Sanz, Max Kepler, and probably no Brandon Marsh in the lineup. So you'll probably have your right-handed lineup tonight. With Turner in the leadoff hole. Zach Wheeler, by the way. Listen to Wheeler's numbers. I don't know that we even are paying attention to the season that Wheeler's having. He's 5-1 with a 2.67 ERA, a 0.89 WHIP, and 80 strikeouts for Wheeler so far in 6 starts. I mean, he has been unbelievable, only to be upstaged, right, by Jesus Luzardo, who will also pitch in this series. Now, over at the Philly Show podcast, I want to hear a little bit from these guys because they were talking about some things that kind of catch my eye as we are about 2 months out from the trade deadline, right? The trade deadline is July 31st. We are 9 weeks to the trade deadline. And the trade deadline this year, there are 6 teams that are kind of out of it right now. And over at MLB.com, Mark Feinsland wrote about the 6 teams that could be looking to make trades already. Of that list, Josh, I came up with 4 names that I would have tepid interest in, okay?
4 names that you could rationalize.
4 names that I can see the Phillies saying, well, we're interested in them. So, in other words, the article that was written, it was 6 teams that could jumpstart the trade market, okay, because they're out of it. Mark Feinsand, he's the one that reported that the Phillies had kicked the tires on David Robertson.
Correct.
So he writes about these 6 teams that could jumpstart the trade market. Those 6 teams are the Marlins, the Nationals, the Orioles, the Pirates, the Rockies, and the White Sox. Okay? From those group of 6, I only saw 4 guys that I would even have tepid interest in. They are all pitchers, by the way. The Rockies have Jake Bird, who we just saw this past weekend. Tepid interest there. Right-handed pitcher, bullpen guy. I'm not giving up much. He's the kind of guy I asked, would they take an Otto Kemp and just say, listen, this guy's ripping it up. Do you guys want to see? We have no place to play him. He's not going to crack our big league roster. He's got a bunch of home runs. He's hitting whatever. What is Kemp hitting now? 3-something? I'll take a look. Otto Kemp is hitting. These are all guys that I might say, and the reason I'm bringing these guys up, because these are all guys that if I'm the Phillies, I am trying to see if anybody is interested in Otto Kemp.
He's batting .328 right now.
Okay, so he's hitting .328.
11 home runs, 40 RBI.
Okay, those are good numbers. Very good numbers, right?
By the way, his OPS is 1.050.
Very good.
So if you're going to trade him now.
That's what I'm saying. So he's the guy, and these are 4 guys that I might say, hey, do you want this guy? Are you interested in this guy? Jake Bird, hey, Colorado. the problem is he's not even a young prospect. How old is Kemp? He's like 25?
He's turning 26 later this year.
Okay, so he's 25. He's not a young prospect, so you're not even like enticing the Rockies by, hey, we're giving you a 22-year-old. You can no. So that's my pitch. If I'm Dave Dombrowski, I have this kid. I have this young man. He's 25. He's having an unbelievable season. You guys have a place for him to play. We don't have a place for him to play. He has no position for us. We don't see him being a big leaguer in Philadelphia. We like him a lot, but we need some help. The Rockies have Jake Bird. Would they do it? The Pirates have Dennis Santana. He is having an unbelievable season. Here's my problem with Dennis Santana. He is a closer on a bad team. The Pirates are bad. He's having an unbelievable year. His ERA is 1.77. His whip is 0.7. I don't know that I've ever seen a guy with a whip that low. I mean, that is an unbelievable whip. The one number that scares me is 13 strikeouts in 20 innings. He has not racked up a lot of strikeouts, which is what you want out of your bullpen guys, which means a lot of balls in play. So I don't even know that I'm all that interested in Dennis Santana. I know David Bednar is another guy they have, 30 years old, feels journeymanish to me. I don't think I'm interested. Here's a name you guys might recognize. Gregory Soto. What? He's a left-hander who does rack up strikeouts. You've lost Alvarado. Can Soto, for a minimal price, come back and help you? As I said, I'm tepid on these guys. I'm just trying to find, and I don't think the Orioles are bailing yet. Right? I don't know that the Orioles think they're done just yet. I know they're in a bad streak. They're in a bad way. If you look at the wild card standings, because I think they're done in the division, they are 10.5 out. Can they get one more push before the trade deadline? That team is loaded with talent. They just can't pitch. Can Philadelphia help them with some pitching if they gave them and a prospect or something like? Now, the problem with the Orioles is their lineup doesn't need help. They don't need Otto Kemp. They need someone that can throw the ball. Would Mick Abel be somebody there? Do they have a guy that they would say, we'll take Abel, we have some help for you? We talked before about Cedric Mullins. Would that be a guy at this point you're interested in? You say no. The Orioles seem like a team that they need pitching help so bad. Would they be willing to overpay to get pitching help? In other words, can you find one of their other players? Can you give me somebody in your everyday lineup that could help me out? It's a tough one because that's a team that should be much, much better. I love the guy Ryan O'Hearn, too, and he's a left-handed bat. He plays the outfield, but, again, he's a left-handed bat, so I probably am tepid on that. Mullins, another guy, bats left-handed. Big problems there. So I don't know. Do they even have an everyday player that could help you out? I mean, they're not giving you, obviously, Rushman. I mean, he's a catcher. You have a catcher. He's struggling along anyway. Jackson Holliday's their big second baseman. Gunnar Henderson, you don't really need middle infielders. So the options there would be Ryan O'Hearn, who's an outfielder, but he's left-handed. So, again, the left-handed, every guy that seems to be, hey, there's a fit. So Soto is a bullpen arm that they have. Those are some of the things there. The other guy is Andrew Chafin, who pitches for the Nationals. He's a left-handed veteran pitcher. He pitched for like 9 teams. He's been all over the place. Great hairdo, awesome mustache. Just seems like the kind of guy that pitches in somebody's bullpen, and he is that guy, right? He's pitched in everybody's bullpen. I don't even know that Otto Kemp would be the amount you'd have to give up to get him. But he is a lefty. He's on a bad team. Those are 4 guys who would be available from the 6 teams that were listed as kind of quote-unquote out of it. Any of those guys push your pile, Josh?
I mean, the Bird and Chafin ones are interesting because I'm not bringing them in here to be the guy who is the back end of the bullpen, but you need more guys for the 6th and 7th inning. So maybe you don't have to give up a ton to get them. I feel like with Santana, I wouldn't mind getting him, but the Pirates might ask for a lot for him because he's having a good year. So I can see some of these guys being in Philadelphia, but I don't foresee us giving up a lot to get them.
All right, let's hear a little bit from the Philly Show podcast. We had Zielecki on earlier this week. He brings up an interesting point. When you look at one big name, I mentioned small names, but Todd Zielecki mentioned a big name, and that is Mason Miller. I gave you guys that could pitch in the 6th or 7th inning. He's giving you a guy that could lock the damn game down in the 9th. But what would you have to give up to get a player like Mason Miller? Here's Todd Zielecki.
They're going to be facing Mason Miller this weekend in Sacramento, and that's a guy that we talked a lot about last year at the trade deadline, and I'm sure he'll come up again. I mean, the A's are playing.
They've lost like 13 out of 15.
Yeah,
they've been struggling.
So they've created.
All right, so that's a name that came up a lot last year. You're going to see Mason Miller. You take a look at what he brings to the table, a lockdown closer. Now, what would they have to give up to get that level of player? Take a listen.
But Mason Miller, if they want to stick him in the luggage rack on the way home, I think they could find room for him.
They're going to take a lot because they got, 3 years of.
Yeah, and they've tried. They've tried on Mason Miller last summer. This winter, we're talking about Bohm and Mason Miller. Those guys were all, they approached Oakland about that. And that control is so valuable for the A's, but they're going to want a lot because, like you said, the 4 years of control. He throws 102.
A lot. What is a lot? Is it Aiden Miller? He mentioned Bohm's name. That's not going to get it done. Is it Crawford and Abel? Can you give Crawford and Abel? Right now, that Mason Miller would be the creme de la creme. If you can say we can get him, and at the end of the conversation, you still have Andrew Painter and Aiden Miller here, I think that's a win for the Phillies. So those guys, definitely Mason Miller this weekend, if you're watching, that's who you want to keep an eye on. He said he throws 102 miles an hour. He's the closer for a bad team. Anytime you have closers for bad teams, they are in play. The problem with the A's is they have control of this guy. They're going to ask for, I would imagine, more than Mick Abel and Justin Crawford. I would imagine, I look at the trade that happened in Washington with Soto. Look at what they got in return, right? They got back C.J. Abrams. They got back, what's his name, Wood. They got back Mackenzie Gore,
right,
and the shortstop. I mean, they got like 4 guys from that trade for Soto, all of which are now contributing to that A's team. I mean, right now, and Soto has been on 3 teams since that trade. He's been in San Diego, he's been in New York, and now he's with the Mets.
Yeah, now I will also say that Soto is considered a generational player. So maybe you wouldn't have to give up anything like that for Mason Miller. But as Zielecki points out, there are some names that he could definitely see. If the A's and the Phillies had a conversation this weekend, what kind of names would be thrown around? Here's Todd Zielecki from the Philly Show podcast.
If the A's called Dave Dombrowski today and said, well, Aiden Miller, let's start with Aiden Miller, Mick Abel, Eduardo Tai. I don't know. I'm just saying, to me, any one of those guys, you got to go, oh, my God, we got to.
It makes life tough, but at the end of the day, they are prospects.
Yeah, that's Ruben Amaro Jr. at the end. So what does Ruben Amaro Jr. think about trading prospects? Because he has been in that situation before.
When we made our deals, there were guys that were a little bit further away. And when we got, the Oswalts and the Hunter Pences of the world, and even, Doc Halladay and Cliff Lee, I mean, we gave up what we thought were pretty good players, but I don't think there would be the level of these types of players, and because these guys are going to make an impact in the big leagues.
So he said, we gave up what we thought would be good players. Yeah, he's talking about guys who weren't quite scratching the surface now. Crawford's at AAA, Painter, AAA, Miller, AA. He was trading guys that really none of them, he talked about Cliff Lee, that trade, Lou Marson, Jason Donald. Those guys never had any big league success, very minimal big league success. Drabek sadly got hurt and never made an impact at all. He traded away Carlos Carrasco, was part of the Cliff Lee deal. He had a little bit of success, but nothing that made you look back and say, Oh, my God. How did we give up Carlos Carrasco? So if you are in the business of winning, you might have to make a tough decision. And trading one of your biggest prospects is a decision you might have to think about. And here's what Jim Salisbury said about it.
They are big time in the business of winning. This nucleus is getting older. Huge payroll, a lot of stars, north of 30.
A lot of expectation.
Big expectations, and that thinking is going to impact their thinking at the trade deadline. You have to be open-minded to moving someone they don't want to move. And it's going to suck because I'm excited about 4 or 5 of these prospects.
Yeah, it's going to suck is right. Jim Salisbury puts that right out there. Karina's watching on the YouTube channel. Says, Mike, if we have to give up a top-tier prospect, I want Miller and nothing less. Yeah, Mason Miller, you're saying, is the one. Because 4 years of control for Miller. So it's not a free agent that's leaving. You have this guy closing games for you for 4 years. And it is something that this organization has had a lot of trouble figuring out since really Brad Lidge left. Who closes games out in the 9th inning?
I was going to say, it literally has been since the last time you won a World Series that you had a closer that you – I mean, I understand Papelbon had that little run, but you haven't had
on
a
bad
guy,
teams.
Right.
Not that he couldn't do it. I'm just saying, he when you won a World Series, you had a closer.
Right, and you had guys that get you to the closer. Right? Maybe even Mason Miller isn't your closer this year. Maybe you tell Mason Miller, hey, we're asking you to come in here and be the guy.
No way. I can't let you. I can't even let you say that on my airwaves. No way. If you trade your top prospects for Mason Miller, he is closing the game out.
So then Romano becomes your setup.
Absolutely. You are not giving up your top-tier prospects and saying, hey, man, pitch the 7th. No way. Not for how. Not possible.
I wouldn't either, but, I mean, this organization has been playing this whole closer roulette game the last few years.
Not if you're giving up your top prospect, you're not. You're not playing closer roulette for Aiden Miller. No way. Not happening. Not even close. Not even a glint in their eye. By the way, 609-403-0973. People texting in their Happy Hour Friday beers. Got a good one to start it. Iron Hill Brewery, the Philly favorite IPA. The gentleman who texts in says, Jake from Egg Harbor City says he went to the Iron Pigs game and came back with his Happy Hour Friday beer, sent the picture of the beer in there and everything, Josh. It gets me thinking about a Happy Hour Friday. What's everybody having this weekend? Text in the picture of what you're having this weekend. 609-403-0973. There's Jake's beer. For those of you watching on the YouTube and the X platform, he sent us a little picture of the Philly favorite IPA from Iron Hill Brewery. Josh, take a look at that beautiful can. It's a beautiful can that he sends us in on this Happy Hour Friday here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, Jake. And if you have a Happy Hour Friday pick for the weekend, throw it in right now. We'll be reading them off throughout the show. I got a bunch of those that I'm going to be throwing out in my annual summer of 2025 things to do, places to check out, beers to drink, food to try, places to go for the summer season, Jersey Shore style. If you're on your way down, you're sitting in traffic, cheers to you. This is Happy Hour Friday, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. And coming up, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City joins me as we take a look at the Phillies' possibilities. We are almost 2 months away from the trade deadline for the Phillies. They're out there blasting the Rockies. They're going to play a Athletics team that's lost 9 in a row. Just keep sailing like this or be aggressive. We'll get Mike's take on it. Plus, a Mike and Bob Friday baseball chat at 3. Coming up at 3:30 today. One night in 2018 could have been the worst night in Sixers history. We'll revisit that coming up at 3:30 today on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. 2:30, Happy Hour Friday. Thanks to the people who have been sending in their picks. I need some good ones this weekend. It is a Memorial Day weekend down the shore. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Terry in Galloway says, I'm back down on the island property enjoying a Happy Hour Friday from Francis Bay, St. John's, Virgin Islands. Go Birds. Sends in a nice old school can of Bud Light. Well, that picture you sent me is beautiful, Terry in Galloway. Enjoy your Bud Light, my friend. Go Birds. You know, I have an Eagles hoodie on today. It's coming out of the breakfast joint this morning. Guy said go Birds to me, but he kind of caught me off guard. If that guy's listening, I apologize that I didn't say anything back. It's my fault. You kind of caught me off guard because there was like a something between us. He said, go Birds, and I missed it. And he was the second person to say go Birds to me today, and I missed both of them. Violation by me that I didn't respond. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City is here on a Happy Hour Friday as the Phillies head out to West Sacramento. Michael, what's going on, man?
Hey, how are you, Mike? Mike, you've got to be ready for the public. You cannot be in a daze. You got to be ready to meet the people when you're out in public.
I know. I got an Eagles little hoodie on today. It's a little chilly for Memorial Day weekend. It's a light hoodie, and the guy said, go Birds, and I was kind of thrown off there. And, a lot of talk around the Eagles centered this week with the Sirianni extension. And the tush push is back, Mike McGarry. They voted yesterday on Wednesday. I think we talked a little bit about it, but the tush push being back, it's been a pretty big Eagles week. I got to be on my game. But one of the things about the Eagles and this tush push here, what do you think about the reaction and the fallout? Are you surprised at how big of a story this was this week?
Yeah, well, yes and no, because the Eagles are the Super Bowl champions, and the tush push is one of their signature plays. As we talked about the other day, I think it's a huge advantage for the team, and it's everything NFL. I mean, everything in the NFL gets, taken up 10 notches. So I was not surprised that it attracted so much attention. And, hey, it's got to be important because both Jason Kelsey and Jeffrey Lurie flew to the NFL boat and made their pitch in front of their fellow owners and general managers to try and keep the tush push legal. So obviously the Eagles think it's important because of the personnel. The owner of the team went there to defend it.
Well, that's what, I bring that up today because you're right. The owner of the team, Jeffrey Lurie, goes out there and makes a plea to the league to try to convert them if they were on the fence to come to their side. They got 9 votes. They needed 8. They got 9 plus their own. So they had 10 overall votes. I just wonder, Mike, is this going to come up every single year, or is the tush push here to stay?
Well, I think once you have the vote now, I think it's here to stay. I don't think they're going to vote every year, say, well, have a referendum on the tush push every year. So I think, this vote, they took the temperature of the league. The league says it's okay. The only way I see that changing, and it hasn't happened so far, is if you see someone seriously get hurt on the play. Then I think it will bring that back into a discussion, a debate over whether or not to ban it. But so far, that hasn't happened. So, as long as that continues not to happen, I think the tush push is kind of here to stay.
All right, let's look at the NL East. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. We got Phillies 4-game sweep in Colorado. You have watched Cape Atlantic League teams that probably could compete with that Rockies team, I would imagine. They're going to go out to the A's, who've now lost 9 straight games. They have Wheeler, Sanchez, and Luzardo matched up against 3 guys that I've never heard of before. Now, that being said, they could win 7 straight games on a West Coast trip. The Braves are going to get Ronald Acuna back tonight. He will be activated for their series against San Diego. Meanwhile, your Metropolitans are playing the Dodgers. As we flip the calendar to Memorial Day weekend, Mike, a column, if you were writing a must-win column on the current state of the NL East at Memorial Day.
Well, competitive, very competitive right now. And I would encourage Phillies fans not to get carried away with this recent string of success, not to make the mistake that we all made last season about this time when we all thought, myself included, that the Phillies were headed for 115 wins and a World Series championship. We know that is not the way it worked out. And, Mike, I hate to be one of those guys who says, look who they're playing. But I think in this case, look who they're playing. Now, I give them all the credit in the world. They're doing what they have to do. But they just played the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have 17 wins. Then they go play Colorado, who is 8-42, Mike, 8-42. I don't think I've ever heard of a baseball team 50 games into the season is 8-42. And now you go play an athletics team that has 22 wins and has lost 8 or 9 in a row. With those pitching matchups, they should sweep this weekend. This is their time to kind of make hay because the schedule is going to reverse itself. While they're doing that, right, the Mets played at Yankee Stadium, then they went to Fenway Park. Now they've got the Dodgers at Citi Field, and the Braves, although they lost last night to the Nationals, showing some signs of life recently. And like you said, they get Acuna back this weekend. So I think it's going to be a very competitive National League East, and I would be pleased with what the Phillies have done so far over this stretch of the past 10 days, but I would not get carried away with it. Eventually, the schedule is going to even out.
Not to mention Spencer Strider's back, too. I know he's had 2 rough starts, but at least they have another arm in their rotation. The Braves are 7.5 back. The Mets are 2 back. The Phillies, first place in National League East play. And then I want to throw the Nationals in there because a lot of people posting about the Juan Soto trade. Now, I'm not suggesting that there's a player out there that's in the Juan Soto category, but when you see that trade and the return from the Nationals, do you get a little gun-shy if you're the Phillies on making a big deal with prospects for that type of player if that's what you're looking to do? Because I think a lot of people, Mike, are waiting to see, will the Phillies make the big move? We just played some audio from the Philly Show podcast with Jim Salisbury, Ruben Amaro, and Todd Zalecki, who were talking about Mason Miller. Now, I don't think you have to give up as much as the San Diego did to get Soto for a Mason Miller, but does that kind of trade make you a little leery, or are you saying, prospects, do what you got to do and get the guy you need?
Hey, you got to win this year. This is the opportunity. I am all for trading prospects. I know the Nationals, they brought up the kid Hazley last night that they got in the trade from the Padres. I think he got 2 hits and stole a base or 2. Hey, let's not put that kid in Cooperstown yet off 1 game. I know some of their prospects look promising, but let's not anoint these guys just yet. We don't know what these prospects are going to be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now. I know the Phillies have some high-priced prospects in guys like Adam Miller, Jordan Crawford, now Mick Abel. But if I need to trade one of those guys to get a closer in here like Mason Miller that can help me win this season, I do it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. As I've said before, JT Realmuto, he doesn't care how good Adam Miller is going to be at shortstop 5 years from now. He wants to win in 2025. You're talking about a franchise in Philly championships. So when you've got an opportunity, when you've got the best record in baseball and you've got $300 million players all over your starting lineup, you better do everything you can to give them the best chance to win that year. And if that means trading to Jordan Crawford, if that means trading to Mick Abel, if that means trading an Adam Miller for a piece that can help you win this year, again, I do it every day of the week, and I do it twice on Sundays.
All right, Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. There you go. A look at the baseball at Memorial Day weekend in the Phillies. By the way, they are 9 weeks away, so still plenty of time. So people who are getting antsy to see something different, you might have to wait a little while. I don't know that Dave Dombrowski is going to pull the trigger on a move 9 weeks from the deadline. 32-18. All right, I want to go to the Knicks tonight. They had an epic choke job in the pantheon of choke jobs. Where does that rank for you?
Well, I mean, it's obviously one of the worst losses in New York Knicks history. It's funny, Mike. The next day, I was just flipping around the TV, and I had the MSG network on, and they were re-showing the game, and it was the final minute of the game, and I still didn't believe the Knicks lost. I mean, they're up 8 with 40 seconds to go. How did they lose?
You've
this
watched
game?
a lot
But
of
somehow
Sixer.
they
You
did.
watch a lot of Sixer meltdowns in covering that team. You could have at least said, "Hey, I've seen these type of things before."
Yeah, this was an all timer to that shot where Halliburton shot, to tie the game, hits the back of the rim, bounces straight up and falls through. Unbelievable shot there. I will say this one thing in the Knicks' defense, Mike. Now, people are going to say I'm crazy. Maybe I'm whistling past the graveyard here. I actually still feel very good about this series. I like the way the Knicks played, obviously, to build that 20-point lead or that 15-point lead with 2.5 minutes to play. I was worried about a little bit about how the Knicks matched up with the Indiana Pacers. I thought the Knicks looked like for 46 minutes or maybe 47 minutes and 30 seconds looked like a better team than the Indiana Pacers. So I still feel good about the series. And although that collapse was epic, Mike, it's almost life in the NBA these days. The Knicks came down from 20 in the second half to beat the Celtics. The Pacers did this to Cleveland. They did it to Milwaukee. If you watch the NBA on a night-in and night-out basis with that three-point line, 20-point leads are not what they used to be, and you have to give Pacers credit because that Neesmith guy, he hit 5 or 6 three-pointers that were just unbelievable, and if he misses one, the Knicks win the game.
Yeah, I remember him at Gonzaga. He was a big shot maker there. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. It's Happy Hour Friday, getting ready for the weekend. I do want to go back to a Phillies question I forgot to get you. Jordan Romano, last 9 appearances. No ERA, 1 walk, 13 strikeouts, 9 innings. Are we back to buying? Well, I don't know if we ever were buying. Are we buying Jordan Romano because Jeff Hoffman struggling big time with the Blue Jays, and that was kind of the flip-flop. And early in the season, it looked like, what are you doing giving up Hoffman for this guy? Romano's getting the last laugh right now.
Yeah, I'm buying Jordan Romano, Mike, for a couple of reasons. One is he's coming off the injury from last year, and relievers don't work a lot in spring training. They throw an inning here, they throw an inning there. He's coming off the injury, so maybe he just needed 3 to 4 weeks of the season to actually, get that arm back, sort of get back in game shape, basically. And the other thing is, I like his previous track record. Again, I like guys who pitched in the American League East. He pitched for Toronto. You pitch in a lot of high-profile games. You pitch in a lot of tough parks, Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park, Camden Yards. So I like his pedigree, where he's come from, what he's done in the past, and he's obviously turned it around the past couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm buying him. Coming off that injury, I think maybe he just needed a couple of weeks, a couple of game reps to sort of get himself straight, get himself back in action. And certainly he looks like an Jordan Romano.
All right, we'll get you out on this, Mike. Our poll question at 973 ESPN. What's the best group of shore towns? Now, it's down this way, not your way. Is it the Absecon Island Brigantine contingent of Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate? Is it the Wildwoods? Is it the 7 Mile Island Sea Isle conglomerate? Or is it an Ocean City, Cape May? Those are kind of two singular towns, but I put them together.
First of all, let me be diplomatic. All of them are outstanding. However, if you were going to ask me one, I would go. I like the Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, Longport stretch. I would give that my nod. I like Atlantic City. I like to have the casinos there. I like the beaches in Atlantic City. And then I like kind of the difference that Ventnor and Margate and Longport kind of provide. And you have all that in like a 10, 15-minute car ride, 20-minute car ride. You can even walk it or ride your bike if you want. So I'll take that for the variety it provides.
There you go.
I will go with Absecon Island. Basically.
Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, Longport. We'll update the poll when we come back. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. No show on Monday, Mike. Have a great weekend, man.
All right, and as Mike, the other reason why I said I'm seeking Island in Atlantic City is because, as I tell people all the time, it's called the Press of Atlantic City.
There
So
you
you
go.
got to stand by. You got to stand by that. But have a great weekend, Mike. We'll talk to you, I guess, on Wednesday. See you down the road.
All
Thanks.
right, there he is, Mike McGarry, everybody. Yes, from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofatlanticcity.com. Keep the branding action going. There you go. There's the poll question. Vote at 973 ESPN. What's the best group of shore towns Memorial Day weekend? The Absecon Island and Brigantine. You got Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor Margate, Longport. The Wildwoods, Crest, North, West, and Wildwood. I didn't forget you, West. 7 Mile Island, Avalon, Stone Harbor, plus Sea Isle. I know Sea Isle's not part of the 7 Mile Island. I got it. I'm not obtuse. I'm just bunching those three together. And then I got Ocean City, Cape May. I know they're two separate singulars, but generally, if you go to Ocean City, you're not leaving. And if you're going to Cape May, you're not leaving. You're going to one or the other. Or, like Sea Isle, you might venture over to Avalon. In Avalon, you might venture over to Stone Harbor. Ventnor, Margate, Atlantic City, Brigantine, you'll venture. The Wildwoods, you'll venture. Ocean City, Cape May, you're usually not venturing. Unless you need a little cocktail, you got to leave Ocean City for a little bit, and then maybe you go back. You could vote at 973 ESPN. I will reveal the percentages for the first hour of the show coming up next on the Sports Bash. You can vote, too. Plus, a Mike and Bob Baseball Friday chat coming up. Bob Wenkel, Crossing Broad. And at 3:25 today, 3:30, today, a look back at the 2018 NBA draft and how it could have changed the Sixers in so many ways. I'll explain. That's coming up all on the Sports Bash Happy Hour Friday edition on 97.3 ESPN. All right, 252. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. Let's get the poll question up on the screen. There you go. You can vote at 973 ESPN. What's the best group of shore towns? Is it Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate? That's 1. Is it the Wildwoods? That's 2. Sea Isle plus 7 Mile Island. That's the third choice. And then you got either Ocean City, Cape May. If you're voting that one, you're voting for either Ocean City or Cape May. Now, someone said that I need to include Summers Point in there because that's the nightlife for the people of Ocean City. If you want to throw that in there, that would be your reason to vote for Ocean City. Josh's face says he's not up for that one. I totally understood that and said you can include Summers Point because Ocean City does not offer any adult nightlife.
Yeah, but the whole point of the exercise is shore towns. If we're going to start annexing non-shore towns added with the shore towns, now it's a different list.
Well, when you go to Ocean City, it's part of your shore experience. Is hey, we go to Ocean City for the beach. We go out to Summers Point at night for a little adult time. You want to throw that in there, voter? You can go for it. Who do you think's in the lead right now?
Well, based on the music you're playing, I'm going to assume that Bobby Rydell is telling you right here.
Wildwoods are in last place.
Really?
Coming up with 11% of the votes.
That is shocking.
The Wildwoods. In tie for second place, I guess, is Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, with 7 Mile Island, Sea Isle, both at 24%. Ocean City, Cape May, 41%. A lot of the people in the listening audience saying Cape May, Ocean City, they're the places to go, and maybe even Summers Point.
Now, how much do you think this poll has been skewed by my retweeting it?
I don't know. Ocean City, Cape May, your spots are 7 Mile Island. Sea Isle, your spots are Wildwood. It seems like my fans would be the Ocean City, the Brigantine, AC Margate.
Right. Whereas
So it
my
looks like
people
yours aren't helping out much at all.
Well, my people are Cape May County people. So,
All right, more Sports Bash coming up. 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. You can vote at 973 ESPN. Get on there. Vote now. All right, 3 o'clock, happy hour Friday. Happy Memorial Day coming up. I will tell you how the 2018 draft was the worst day in the history of the Sixers franchise. Right now, it's a Mike and Bob Friday baseball chat. Memorial Day weekend down the shore. A lot of people sitting in traffic. Let's entertain them. Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, everybody, is back on a Friday edition of the Sports Bass Live on 97.3 ESPN. And so I got to ask you, this is Oasis that is bringing us back here. Wednesday, we did a segment that we do called Stump the Sports Geek, which is Josh.
Okay.
I asked him, the category was lead singers. If I said lead singers, would you say, okay, I could do that? Or am I one of these few people that could tell you the lead singers of bands? Or is that like not particularly?
If you gave me the lead singer and asked me what band, I might have a shot. If you said band, what's the lead singer's name?
Really? So do you know who the lead singer of the Foo Fighters is?
Oh, Dave Grohl, right?
Okay, yes. Yeah. Do you know who the lead singer of Oasis is?
No, the brothers, though.
The brothers Gallagher, yes. Liam Gallagher is the lead singer.
Yeah.
Radiohead?
No, I should. See, that's embarrassing. Like this is gonna get dark on me here pretty quickly.
All right. Well, he got two. He got 2 right out of 10.
Okay.
He didn't get the White Stripes.
Okay.
REM.
Michael Stipe.
Correct. The Cure.
I don't know.
He played running back for the Vikings years ago.
Is that Adrian Peterson?
Robert Smith. Blondie.
No clue.
Really?
Nah, no clue.
Deborah Harry. Come on, man.
Would have never gotten that.
Really? You don't know Deborah Harry? All right. Well,
no, I'm not. I'm not the right guy. You know.
No, I thought that this would be. You did get Dave Grohl. He didn't know that.
I thought Michael Stipe was probably the most interesting of all of them. You know, like that was probably the one the hardest one.
By the way, Tom York is the Radiohead lead singer.
Okay. All right.
Bob did okay. He wasn't great. He was like 50-50. Josh got 2. We got Fleetwood Mac and No Doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean that's Gwen Stefani.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Bob Wankel, where do you head down the shore? Where is your shore spot? I feel like every human being that lives west of here comes down the shore. It's like not one person you talk to is like, I've never been down there before. I don't vacation down there. I feel like everybody.
Growing up, the Wankel family vacation was always 2 weeks in Ocean City. I have a sister down there who has a place in Cape May, and then I have another sister who has a place in North Wildwood. My preference is North Wildwood. I like the Keenans and the outlet or the inlet and all that stuff. I like all that.
So you're you're a North Wildwood voter.
I am. Yeah.
All right. So our poll question at 973 ESPN right now, the Wildwoods is bringing up the rear for your favorite shore towns. Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate is generally my guess. That's my home stomping grounds. They are in 3rd place. Ocean City / Cape May got their own category. They're at 40%. And then the 7 Mile Island Sea Isle conglomerate, they are the next group at 25%. So interesting to see because you hear these people.
I wasn't a big Cape May guy growing up, but as I've gotten older, I've come to like it. And there's a couple cool spots down there. You got some places to go drinking. I don't know if we're giving shout outs to local businesses on air or anything like that, but I like that Naughty Spirits is a cool little place. And
yeah, it's a fun spot.
Yeah, fun spot. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Cape May, yeah, right. As you got a little older, you can appreciate it more, the charm of the city a little bit more. When you're a little younger and see, I didn't realize this when I was younger living down here. Sea Isle and Avalon, you just kind of group them almost as the same, but it's a little different as you got older. Sea Isle got a little bit more grit to it, and then Avalon a little bit more, I got to pop my collar a little bit.
I would say so. I always have the real estate apps. I just see what's available down there. Not that I can buy any of it, but you see those houses pop up in Avalon. You're like, all right, $3 million. What are we looking at here? It's like a shed.
Yeah, well,
$3 million.
Then you get the randos. A couple people I was talking to were like, yeah, I go to Brigantine, which I love Brigantine, but to hear that people that's their spot, that's a whole nother world over there, man. Yeah. I mean, you got to have a passport to get over that bridge. It's like, hey, I'm coming in. Here I come.
Well, either way, just so you know, the only thing that is standing between myself and a happy hour Friday is Mike Gill. So that's how much I care about you, Mike.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And I know a lot of people getting ready to hear what you have to add to the conversation here on this. By the way, in the pantheon of bad baseball teams, the Colorado Rockies rank where?
They might be at the top. Worst start, I believe, over 50 games since 1895. The Rockies, they're on pace to win 26 games. I know that we saw that White Sox team here recently, and you think to yourself, how could it get any worse than that? But this Rockies team is absolutely horrible. And Phillies did exactly what they should do, and they should be applauded for that. But, yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't get any worse than what we saw this week in Colorado.
Well, it doesn't get any worse, but they're facing a team that has lost 9 straight games. Now, this is a team that came to Philly last year and won 2 out of 3. I went to the game where Rooker went bananas. And, of course, after that, they said, you got to do everything you can to get that guy. I can't imagine they can get Rooker. He just signed an extension. But is Mason Miller at all on the radar, do you think, for the Phillies?
Yeah, I mean, look, is he on the radar? I would imagine so. Obviously, the A's got off to a decent start here. They're kind of an interesting team. They have some guys in that lineup that have a little bit of pop. They have a couple of functional starters, but it's not a very good baseball team. It's not a team that's going to compete, and I don't know that it's going to be a team that competes for a while, to be perfectly honest with you. So if you put Miller out on the market and there's a team that comes through with the right package, I'd have to imagine the A's listen to that. The Phillies should call. They should be interested. I still think it's probably a little bit of a long shot in terms of being able to acquire him, just because the prospect price or the package that you'd have to put together, I think, would be so significant. It just feels like the Phillies are at this place in their progression where they're not going to go nuts in terms of outbound players. So I guess I'd be surprised, but they should certainly look.
Yeah, it's like, what level do you have to get get a player that's a closer, right? I mean, if he's got 4 controllable years, that obviously adds to the price, right? Of the Phillies prospects, how far would you be willing to go for a closer?
It just happens to be the Phillies' most pressing need, and I acknowledge that Jordan Romano in the month of May has been phenomenal, and maybe he really has turned a corner here. I mean, it does look real, and the slider, which he struggled so much with early in the season, has really rebounded, and it looks like a plus pitch. They need another arm out there, and they need a premium arm out there, and so it would be a heck of a fit. How far do you go? In terms of the Phillies prospects, I would probably start a conversation with a guy like Abel at this point. You might talk about Crawford as well. And then you might say, if you want somebody a little bit more major league ready, we, have a Johan Rojas or a Brandon Marsh that we could throw in there. I don't think the Phillies could go further than that, and I don't know that that's enough to get it done. So
if you told me it was Abel, Crawford, and then one of those guys, I'm in.
And maybe along with that, there's hey, take your pick from this grouping of players. Maybe they give them another 5 or 6 prospects that aren't necessarily the names that we always hear. You say you can have another one in addition. Maybe that gets it done. I just doubt it, though.
All right. What level of player could you expect back for an Otto Kemp? I get so many people that say, Kemp, you got to trade, what about him? To me, he's 25 years old, ripping up AAA. I don't think there's a lot of value there. Is he the guy that you say, hey, we just need another right-handed arm? He's not a closer, but we'll give you him. Colorado, here's a 25-year-old guy hitting 350 with 11 bombs. See if you can find a spot for him. We'll take your best reliever.
Yeah, I think you could maybe get a middle reliever type for an Otto Kemp. I mean, Otto Kemp's an interesting prospect is the way to say it. He's obviously having a great season. He still strikes out a lot. He has defensive limitations. There's not a whole lot you can do with him defensively. He can maybe go stand out there in left field. He's kind of an average defensive third baseman, maybe a little bit below. And so I think that's part of the issue with him. But yeah, could you get back a usable part that could help you in 25 for Otto Kemp right now? Maybe.
All right. How has Ranger Suarez's last 3 starts complicated any decisions that might be coming up the pipeline here?
Look, you and I have talked a little bit about this abundance of starting pitching that the Phillies have and what they're going to do. And one part of the mystery was shored up this week. Rob in Colorado had said Taijuan Walker will make one more start, and then we're going to go ahead and put him back in the bullpen and see if he can be a meaningful bullpen option for us. And I think that that's probably the way to approach it with Taijuan Walker at this point. But when Andrew Painter comes and Aaron Nola returns, and you still have only so many spots, and so there's an odd man out. And I know that Ranger Suarez is the guy that everybody's looking at. He's left-handed. He's done it before, the whole deal. But I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon with Ranger Suarez. Number one, if in the event you want to maybe look at his worth on the open market, I think it probably makes most sense to bill him as a starter. So if you take him out of the rotation now, you're not letting other teams evaluate what you have in Ranger Suarez. I don't think that the Phillies are in such a dire situation, 14 games above 500 right now, leading the division, that they need to make a rash decision on this and really force the issue right now. And a guy that can go out and give you 6 or 7 innings and give up anywhere between 1 and 3 runs is just more valuable than Ranger Suarez coming out of the bullpen in the 8th inning. It just is. And so when you factor all the baseball considerations into it, and then you add on the political consideration, which is, this is a guy that's in a contract year that's been a really good member of this organization. I don't think the Phillies are going to do that to him. I don't think you're going to say, hey, Ranger, you've made 4 starts, 3 of which have been awesome. Now we're going to ship you to the bullpen because Jose Alvarado made a mistake, and now you're going to pay the price for it. I don't think that's how the Phillies are going to do business here.
Okay, then if not him, he stays, and then you got Painter who's knocking on the door there. Is it a fait accompli that they're going to have to go to a 6-man rotation?
I think that the Phillies have alluded to the fact that they will probably in spots go to a 6-man rotation. I would almost guarantee that we see it, maybe not for the duration of Painter's arrival onward, but I do think it's something that, depending on the schedule, that they may implement and try to remain flexible with. It's one of those things that if Ranger Suarez does not perform, then that changes the conversation between now and maybe 4 or 5 weeks from now. But if he's going to continue to throw this well, I don't think that that's something that we're going to see. The other guy in all of this is Mick Abel, and I think that he is either going to pitch himself into becoming a trade piece here at the deadline, or I do think that you're going to see him pitch out of the bullpen for the Phillies at some point in the regular season here.
Yeah, the bullpen, by the way, currently constructed is Jordan Romano, Matt Strom, Orion Kerkering, Joe Ross, Tanner Banks, Jose Ruiz, Carlos Hernandez, and Max Lazar. Is that sustainable?
No, it's not. I mean, it's very obvious that bullpen is short, and credit to the main guys being Strom, Kerkering, and Romano, who are all pitching pretty well in this moment. But we know that at some point, one of those guys, if not a couple of them, are going to falter. And there's just not enough depth there to say this bullpen game after game after game, once the competition increases, is going to be able to stand up and excel. It was shorthanded prior to the Alvarado suspension. It's even shorter now. They are not paying for the price for it in the short term here, but it's going to cost them at some point. They have to add. They probably need to make at least 2 meaningful additions, whether it's internally or externally.
All right, Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, and, of course, you can check out the Fighting Words podcast. You talked about the leadoff spot in the podcast. You look at the platoon situation at second base. Does that make the leadoff spot still up in the air?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. And look, it's very clear at this point now that they have a full-blown platoon going on at second base between Edmundo Sosa and Bryson Stott. And I think that the common wisdom here in this area is that Bryson Stott's a guy that deserves to play every day, and he's a guy, and everyone likes him, and he's a plus defender, and there's a lot to like about Bryson Stott's game. But at some point, you kind of look at the numbers and go, it seems like the perception of Bryson Stott is exceeding the reality of Bryson Stott. And he's only got 30 at-bats against lefties this season. He's 7 for 30. That's a 233 average. He's only slugging 267 against lefties, 570 OPS. Like, it's not good enough. And you say, okay, well, he's not hitting leadoff against lefties, and that's true. But it's like they're not even really giving an opportunity to do it. It's not like we've watched Bryson Stott for 125 at-bats this season against lefties, and they're saying, okay, we got to go platoon here. They're kind of out ahead of it. And I think that that's pretty revealing where they're at in the assessment of Bryson Stott at this point. So he's just not getting on base enough. I mean, the bottom line is he's got a 321 on base percentage. It's not good enough for a leadoff hitter.
No, you're right about that. And I wanted to get to, because Schwarber is having maybe his best season ever. Is that a byproduct of him not hitting leadoff?
He's done some of that damage out of the leadoff spot, but I mean, most of it is in the middle of this order here, and I think that he's comfortable there. I think that he is just really coming to his own as a hitter, and I think that that's a thing you don't want to mess with right now. It looks like Bryce Harper's finally getting comfortable. He's heated up here. I know the level of competition. Everyone on X or Twitter is very quick to point that out, but he sort of resurrected his season. I just leave Harper and Schwarber in the middle of that lineup. And if I have to kind of deal with a little bit of a lack of production from Bryson Stott at the top, then so be it. And then obviously when Trey Turner's at the top, he's been very good this year. I mean, Trey Turner's on pace for 194 hits right now.
The implication of trying to find that right-handed bat, if that's the case and you get that guy, does Turner stay at the top of the lineup?
Probably. What's really interesting is that when we look at this offense and we say, how can it improve? How can this offense sort of shore up a little bit? We keep looking at center. We keep looking at left. I've mentioned third, even though Alec Boehm, again, has been very good now the last.
Yeah, baby. Don't get on my guy Boehm now.
But this is the thing. And I know, right? And I actually had said on one of our recent shows that everyone's going to be going nuts. Alec Boehm's going to be hitting 274 and say, see. And I'd point out to you again that he's a 274 slap hitter.
Yeah,
it's not what I want out of a third baseman who's supposed to be a middle of the order guy. But the point being is that maybe you start to look at second base and say, could we be a little bit better there? Is there a way that we can go about this that might take a little bit more creativity than what we would have initially had planned for?
You had a really bad at bat from your right fielder yesterday, man. That was horrendous. Bases loaded, infield in, and a one-hand pickleball shot to the second baseman. I mean, geez, how many times have we seen that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think one of the biggest storylines about this Phillies team so far is the offense. And I know that we watch it and we say, this is pretty underwhelming still. And there's this perception that it's a boom or bust offense. They still live and die by the home run. You probably hear that 10 times a week, people texting and talking to you and all that. But the numbers don't really bear that out. They're third in batting average, third in on-base percentage. They're seventh best in strikeout rate. They're fifth best in walk rate. They lead baseball in singles. Like, they're not really a boom or bust, home run or bust offense. In fact, if anything, I'd like them to have a little bit more pop. It's been a productive offense. It's a top 5 offense by a lot of different measures. But, the eye test tells you that they're missing a piece here.
No doubt. And listen, my guy Rojas steals a base, goes to third because of his speed, and then the $100 million man slaps one to the second baseman here. Come on, when you get a stolen base and go to third with your speed, you got to take advantage with the big boppers, and they're not getting it done in those spots there. All right, Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. You're right about the fact that they need more power. They need more home runs because one guy who's not giving them the power that he's had in the past is Turner. 26 homers, 20-plus homers. Now he's got three.
Yeah, he's definitely a different hitter right now. There's no question about it. It's tough though to really knock him a whole ton here. I mean, he's hitting 303. Like I said, he's on pace for 194 hits. He's on pace for about 30 doubles, but he's only on pace for 10 home runs. Yeah. And he's a guy at this point you're kind of penciling in to hit somewhere between 20 and 25 for you. So
here's a question for you on that. Well, if Turner hit lead, if they got a right-handed hitter, right, that was a middle-of-the-order guy, do you keep the two lefties together, or does this middle-of-the-order guy now hit 2? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Hoskins, when he was here, he hit in the 2-hole, and I was thinking about today because everybody's kind of like, oh, maybe you get Hoskins back. He did hit 2 here, which I hate it. His on-base percentage is like 400 right now. So would you keep the two lefties together, or would somebody split those two lefties and hit in the 3? That would be another interesting conversation.
Well, I probably am not that hesitant to keep the two lefties in Schwarber. You're talking about Schwarber and Harper, correct? Just to clarify. I mean, Harper's going to put together professional at-bats against both righties and lefties, and Kyle Schwarber is at a point in his career where he has – and we started seeing this last year where he basically has reverse splits. He's hitting 303 against lefties this season. He's hitting 228 against righties. I mean, he's slugging .758 with a 1.203 OPS against left-handed pitching this season. So go ahead. Stack them together. Who cares? He's performing much better against lefties than he is righties.
Well, and that what we keep saying, hey, you got to find this right-handed bat to hit in the middle of the lineup. Well, theoretically, if you got another bat, that person may hit in the 2-hole and have Turner just stay as the leadoff guy.
Yeah, and I would love to. I mean, we've been talking about this theoretical bat for a long time now, and we keep kind of, I will say, keep mentioning that bat as being somebody that has some pop. And I think in an ideal world, that's what you get here. But I just think they need a plus bat. Whatever the skill is, whether it's on base, whether it's average, whether it's more of a complete player or it's more of a power player, like they just need one more guy that comes up where you say, all right, we have him in this time through the order. I expect something good to happen. I just feel like they're a piece away, whatever that piece is. And I want it to be right-handed, but heck, at this point, I would even take a guy that's left-handed. Just an impact bat.
Okay, that's interesting. Because
you're not getting it out of left field. Like, that's the issue. Max Kepler isn't giving you that impact that you were hoping for against right-handed pitching.
Fair, yeah. You look at, so you're essentially saying if you found a left-handed bat that just flat out replaced him, then he becomes, now you got him and Marsh just wasting away in Margaritaville.
Yeah, well, here's the thing with Max Kepler. I don't think that we're on the Whit Merrifield plane here by any stretch, but you fast forward another 6 weeks and you look up and the guy's hitting 220 and he's not doing anything special against righties. We know that he's got some vulnerabilities against left-handed pitching. At some point you say, like, well, we don't have to platoon left field. Let's just upgrade it, period.
Got it. All right, man. Well, enjoy Happy Hour Friday without me. I like it.
Shoot you a couple texts off there. I got some good ones lined up today.
All right, good, man. I appreciate it. See, take
All
care. All right, Bob Wankel, everybody, Crossing Broad. Check him out over there. And, of course, the Fighting podcast you can check out on all podcasting platforms. Here on the Sports Bash Live, a Mike and Bob Friday baseball chat. The Fighting Words podcast, excuse me. What did I say? The Fighting's podcast. It's called The Fighting Words, a Phillies podcast with Bob Wankel and Anthony Sanfilippo. Check that out on all podcasting platforms. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and live video streaming on the Twitter X platform at Mike Gill Show. Just follow, subscribe, be a part of the show right there. You can always get involved on the text board, 609-403-0973. I see our guy Brian in Egg Harbor Township's head up to the Metallica show with the tickets that he won. I believe that was at the Maynard show we did on opening day in Margate. Says it turned out to be 2 tickets for tonight and 2 tickets for Sunday's show. Yeah, buddy. Said he's got some crushing it for Happy Hour Friday. Don't drink too many of those. I think they're like 8%. That'll get you pretty quick there, Brian. Enjoy the show. Appreciate you as always, my man. 609-403-0973. What are you having on a Happy Hour Friday? Text in your favorite brew for the weekend so that I can join you here on a Happy Hour Friday. Don't leave me hanging, people. I got to work. You guys are all off today. I'm still sitting here like a schmuck. Coming up next on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Watching the NBA Western Conference Finals last night. You'll watch the Eastern Conference Finals tonight. You can listen to it on 97.3 ESPN. A look back at how the 2018 draft may have changed the Sixers in so many different ways. Something that I don't even know that anybody's ever brought up or talked about before. We'll talk about it next on the Sports Bash.
feel like my emotions were like so high that I was like a little bit like tired out there, especially to start. I was like a little too juiced up. But yeah, special moment. I'm happy we won so I can like really enjoy the last couple of days and soak it all up. That really helps. But yeah, shout out to the team. Played well again tonight. Heading to Minnesota up 2-0.
That was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last night after the Thunder dispatched of the Minnesota Timberwolves in a night where SGA, the MVP of the league, went on to score over 30 points again in a playoff game. Fifth straight game he's done that. SGA, 38 on the T-Wolves last night. You know, he was in the 2018 NBA draft. He was drafted number 11 in that draft. You know who drafted number 10 that year? Do you have any guess at who drafted number 10 in the 2018 NBA draft?
I'm dreading this answer.
Yep.
It sounds like it's the 76ers.
So in the 2018 NBA draft, the Sixers screwed that draft up 6 ways to Sunday.
Great.
But how bad did they really screw it up? Well, in 2018, the 76ers drafted Mikal Bridges with pick number 10. They then traded it for Zaire Smith and a first-round pick. So they lost the trade because, number one, Zaire Smith stunk like a pair of athletic sweat socks. 2, they traded the pick in return for Tobias Harris, which didn't really work out the way they were hoping for. So the pick that they got in the trade for Mikal Bridges turned out to be moved to the Clippers in exchange for Tobias Harris. So if the Sixers just said, you know what, we have the 10th pick, they could have either gone behind door number 1 and drafted Mikal Bridges. That would have been a better option. They could have gone behind door number 2 and drafted Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and said, you know what? This is the guy that we're going to take at number 10. We don't need to make a trade. We think this guy might be a future MVP. They did not have that foresight. He went number 11. They had another possibility. By the way, these were the players drafted after number 10 that the Sixers had on the board that they could have chosen. Instead of picking Bridges and trading him for Zaire Smith, they could have taken Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They could have taken Michael Porter Jr. They could have taken Dante DiVincenzo. They could have taken Kevin Huerter, who killed them in one playoff series one time. They could have taken Grayson Allen. They could have taken Anthony Simons. They could have taken a plethora of other guys. Oh, by the way, the Sixers had another pick in that draft. They took pick 26 and took a guy by the name of Landry Shamet. You remember him? He had a cup of coffee here. He was also involved in the trade for Tobias Harris. Do you know who was taken just a few picks right after him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks later. Do you have any idea who was selected just 7 picks after Landry Shamet with the 33rd pick in the NBA draft in 2018?
Is it the guy who was named the most clutch player in the NBA?
You will see him play tonight. No, not Tyrese Halliburton. You will see him play tonight. Jalen Brunson was the 33rd pick in the 2018 NBA draft. Does it make you sick to your stomach to be watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson and then say, man, those two guys were both available on the board when we picked? And it's not like, hey, Jalen Brunson was drafted in the second round. You know, you were never going to take him at number 10. I get that. Nobody took him in the first round. But you had a pick for 26 that wasn't in the first round. That's only 7 picks away. By the way, the Sixers also in that draft picked number 38, picked number 39. They had picked number 56. They had picked number 60. So they had multiple second-round picks that if they really liked a player like Jalen Brunson, they could have traded a bunch of picks to try to get him in that spot. You go back to the 2018 NBA draft, And the Sixers so royally messed that night up. And now, here we are in 2025. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP of the league. He is in the Western Conference Finals and most likely going to go to the NBA Finals and potentially win it. The other option that you could have taken at pick number 26, which you did not take, was Jalen Brunson, and he is now in the Eastern Conference Finals, knocked you out of the playoffs last year, and could potentially win the first NBA title for the Knicks since 1973. You go back to draft night in 2018. The Sixers have made a lot of draft mistakes. That night might be the biggest blunder of them all. Forget the trade. If you just would have taken Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, imagine how different this team might be. Imagine, if you will, a team with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander running this team right now. This is 2018 we're talking about. And at that time, the Philadelphia 76ers were a pretty darn good team, right? They were in the playoffs. They had been a 50-plus win team, but they're very young. You add a player like that, how different would this team look? Now, I'm imagining when you go back to that time, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you had Ben Simmons here. So the Sixers are looking at a 6'6" guy who has the ball in his hands a lot. Man, would he not have been a nice player to kind of play alongside Ben Simmons as kind of a 6'6" combo guard, a guy who can score the basketball, something Ben was very reluctant to do, a guy who could shoot the three at a 35% clip this year. He's up to 37%. Man, would that have not been unbelievable to see a player like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? You take a look at the biggest blunders that this team has made, and you could say Bridges. You drafted Bridges. If you just would have kept Bridges, how things would have been different. Now, I go back to that night, and you say Bridges and the trade. You know, people always say they traded him for Zaire Smith. They weren't trying to get Zaire Smith. I think they really wanted that first-round pick. The first-round pick was really what they wanted, and they were willing to say, hey, we'll flip-flop players in if you give us that pick. It's almost like saying, you know, when you package a player like the Sixers a couple of years ago, Al Horford, and we'll give you a first-round pick to take Al Horford. Hey, we'll take Zaire Smith in the flip if you give us a first-round pick.
Because remember, I don't think people remember this, but Brian Colangelo, he wasted so much of the assets that Sam Hinkie had built up that when Colangelo was finally forced to leave because him and his wife and the Twitter burner gate, that the organization was trying to recoup assets for the future. So for the organization, they probably look at the trade as, listen, this at least gives us something to work with moving forward.
Listen, there are so many blunders that they have made draft night and draft things that just haven't worked out. I mean, you take a look at, they draft Ben Simmons. He's the rookie of the year. He's a three-time All-NBA player. He's second team, a runner-up in the All-Defensive Player of the Year. You had a cornerstone piece for 3 seasons, and he just never developed after that and turned into a bizarre situation where he just flamed out to a nothing burger. Markelle Fultz, you draft him number 1 overall. You could talk about those screw-ups and not helping you. But here's a spot where you're drafting in the 10th spot. You draft a player, and then the very next pick becomes the MVP of the league. You know, this is the situation for people who don't remember what happened back then. But this is on the heels of Brian Colangelo on the burner gate. So Colangelo, who the Sixers placed in there to replace Hinkie after the whole process thing, the NBA, quote-unquote, forces Hinkie possibly out and forces Colangelo onto the Sixers. Colangelo gets himself burner-gated out of the NBA, essentially. We've never heard from him again. So now they're a rudderless ship with nobody running them because of the turnaround of, hey, this guy just got fired because of the burner gate. Now the draft is here. Brett Brown, the head coach, is now running the draft and, quite frankly, not qualified to run the draft and makes a move like this. You want to blast the Bridges for Zaire Smith move? Horrendous move. By the way, Listen to this. In the first round of the 2018 NBA draft, the games played for the first 15 picks: 398, 289, 450, 407, 483, 364, 383, 407, 320, 556, 462, 424, 135, 345, 356. Zaire Smith, 13. That dude has played 13 NBA games. By the way, pick 17 down. Dante DiVincenzo, 416, 342, 482, 416, 403, 103, 448, 389, 363, 298, 398, 235, 59, 49, and 95. Your guy played 13. Everybody else played almost 100 games, if not 400 games. Somehow, someway, you got the bleepiest guy in the draft. Go to the second round. You had guys play 108, 412, 487, 336, 32, 337, 415, 39. Still more than the 13 games Zaire Smith played. You have to go to all the way to pick 43 to play a guy. Find a guy who played less than your guy did. And by the way, in the entire draft, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys out of 60. 9 out of 60 played less games than Zaire Smith did in the NBA. And all of those guys were drafted from pick 60 to 50 for the most part. You got the absolute worst value, period, in that draft. And you had the opportunity to draft Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. One pick he was taken after you completely messed up. By the way, the picks before Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, DeAndre Ayton, kind of been a bust. I mean, he's been okay. He's been solid. He wasn't a franchise-changing player. Marvin Bagley's been a bust. Luka Doncic, Jaren Jackson, Trae Young. Mo Bamba went number 6. Wendell Carter Jr. went 7. Colin Sexton went 8. Kevin Knox, he was a real bust. And by the way, I did like him a lot, so I was wrong on him. Was 9. Mikal Bridges was 10. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went 11. Miles Bridges went 12. Jerome Robinson, was a bust, he went 13. Michael Porter Jr. I remember when the Sixers had the 10th pick and Porter was on the board. He had that back problem, so they passed on him. And then was Troy Brown Jr., followed by Zaire Smith. It's the worst night possibly of all the draft blunders the Sixers have had and all the bizarre things that have happened. That night may have been, and it's for different reasons. Everybody talks about the Bridges trade because really they make that trade, Bridges, blah, blah, blah. They ended up getting Tobias Harris, who was a pretty solid player. He wasn't what you were hoping for, but you did get Tobias Harris with that pick. So, yes, you would rather have Bridges probably than Tobias Harris. I would, Bridges is a more consistent player, better defensive player. So if you just took Bridges and never made that trade, you probably don't have Tobias Harris, and I don't think anybody cares about that. Just keep Bridges, right? But if you just said, I don't need to make a trade, I'll just take the guy that I want, I'll draft Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, how different the franchise could have been from that one night and that one pick.
And again, as I said before, Mike, it goes back to you would never have been in that position if what happened before that didn't happen. If the NBA did not interfere and force the Sixers to take on Jerry Colangelo, then Jerry Colangelo gets in Josh Harris's ear and says, hire my son. And then Sam Hinkie gets forced out. And then Brian Colangelo makes a mess of everything. And then he is forced to leave because of Burnergate. It's a domino effect. 2018's fiasco disaster does not happen if everything else didn't lead up to it. So it just goes to show you that if you just were to let Sam Hinkie maybe finish the process, maybe none of this bleep would have ever happened.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. I mean, we don't know if he was forced out, if the NBA said this is enough, he can't be in charge anymore, you've got to go this route. And if they didn't have a choice, then they don't have a choice. But the fact that they put Brian Colangelo in that spot, and this was a couple of years after that. I mean, Brian Colangelo didn't make one justifiable move to help this team. Not one. In fact, he traded the picks to get Markelle Fultz, that's a deal that Hinkie never makes. Hinkie would never have traded draft picks,
No.
assets, to move up from 3 to 1. There's just no. So even if you hated Hinkie with all your might, he never would have made the trade. Now, you might have still ended up with Markelle Fultz based on the reporting that Boston was going to take Tatum at 1.
Correct.
Who would have the Lakers taken at 2 because Ball was their pick. So if they take Ball at 2 still, you probably still end up with Fultz at 3. But your thing is, we wouldn't have to give up the first-round pick the next year that you gave up
Correct.
in that situation.
Exactly. And don't forget about the fact that, we don't know, because we know Colangelo was in love with Markelle Fultz. We know that he was all in on Fultz. I don't know if the organization would have evaluated him differently if Hinkie was in charge.
609-403-0973. Yeah, I don't think, listen, Fultz was pretty much everybody's number 1 overall pick. So it wasn't crazy to say he was the number 1 overall pick. Most people thought he was the number 1 overall pick. But hindsight is the Celtics did not think that,
right.
And they wouldn't have taken him at 1. They would have taken Tatum. Who would the Lakers have taken at 2 is the question. And then you would have been at 3 with Fultz on the board, probably would have taken him because Josh Jackson was the 4th pick. De'Aaron Fox went 5th. Lauri Markkanen was 7th in that draft. So you're definitely still taking Fultz in that spot. The thing is, when you got Fultz to move up to get Fultz, you traded a first-round pick away to Boston. So then you lost another part of your assets that Hinkie basically put together to try to stockpile for you. Yeah. By the way, he was traded by the Sixers, Tatum, in exchange for Markelle Fultz, a future 1, and that was a 2018 pick. So, we're a 19 pick. So we'll see what ended. I don't know who they ended up getting with that pick. I have to do the research back to see what that pick, where it was, and how it all kind of played out after. But you lost that whole asset there just to move up 2 spots. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We'll update the poll question on the other side at 973 ESPN. You can vote at 973 ESPN. All right, here we go. This is today's Happy Hour Friday poll question. By the way, got some text messages, people coming in.
Romeo Langford was the pick.
Okay, so that didn't kill you. What pick in the draft was that?
Because it was a 2019 first-round pick.
So it was in the 2019 pick.
Yes, so it ended up being 14.
14. Okay, so if the Sixers would have had the 14th pick that year, by the way, in that draft, they had they traded with Boston, who took Matisse Thybulle. The Sixers took Ty Jerome. Who would you rather have, Thybulle or Jerome?
Good grief.
Right? You'd rather have Ty Jerome. Just stay at 24. The one thing that gives me some hope, and I'll explain on the other side. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Here's the poll question. I'll update it for you now. What's the best group of shore towns? Is it Absecon Island with Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate? Is it the Wildwoods? Is it 7 Mile Island plus Sea Isle? Or is it Ocean City / Cape May? Vote at 973 ESPN. Text messages coming in. More Sports Bash on the way. I'm Mike Gill. It's 97.3 ESPN. Coming up at 4:25 today, I'm going to talk to the voice of the Preakness, Larry Colmus. For those of you who watch the Preakness out there in the Kentucky Derby, Larry Colmus is the play-by-player who called the action. We're going to get his perspective on the race and his perspective of calling that unbelievable finish in the Preakness. We'll have that coming up at 4:30 today, 4:25, somewhere around there on the Sports Bash Live. Got a chance to talk to Larry Colmus, and it'll be great to hear his perspective on journalism coming from behind and him watching that race unfold and how he kind of saw it from his perspective from the broadcast booth. So you don't want to miss Larry Colmus. Great dude, by the way. He's going to talk about that and more coming up at around 4:25 today. By the way, what's the best group of shore towns? Vote at 973 ESPN. Right now, Ocean City, Cape May, 40%. Sea Isle and 7 Mile Island, 26%. Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, 24%. The Wildwoods, only 10%. I'm a little surprised by that, Josh.
I am shocked by that. I feel like everyone is going to Wildwood must not be on Twitter today.
You think there's a lack of presence on the X platform
I do.
from Wildwood today?
Because no other explanation.
Well, you got time to vote at 973 ESPN. What's the best group of shore towns? Those right now are the percentages. Cape May, Ocean City leading 40%. Sea Isle, 7 Mile Island, 26%. Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, Absecon Island there, 24%. And the Wildwoods, just 10%. Vote at 973 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. Coming up, football at 4. Andrew DeCecco is in the house with some insight on the Birds and the Tush Push. Coming up. Football at 4 powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, whatever the sport, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Andrew DeCecco is in the house from InsideTheBirds.com and the Inside the Birds podcast. As the Eagles had a busy week this week, we'll look back at the week that was as all the different storylines that happened. I want to go back to, you know what's ironic there? By the way, let's welcome in Andrew DeCecco from InsideTheBirds.com right now on a happy hour Friday. I like having you on the Friday, DeCecco. You and I can have a nice cold beer together and chat a little bit about the music and the beer. You would be appalled at Josh's answers this week of lead singers as the category for Stump the Sports Geek. He got 2 out of 10 right. You would be appalled.
What's going on, Mike? Great to be with you.
Yeah, man. He did not know who the lead singer of The Doors was, number one.
Come on, Josh.
No, he didn't know. These were his topic. He did not know the lead singer of the Foo Fighters.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. White Stripes, REM, The Cure, Oasis, Radiohead. He got them all wrong.
Oh, man, I'm disgusted. I find that to be repugnant.
I find that to be embarrassingly bad. When he didn't know who Jim Morrison was, I really was like, all right, this is not going to go very well. But
I mean, Mike, that sounds like a layup to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, it was. Well, people were playing for tickets. He tried to win them. He got 2 answers right, which was not good enough. But I was watching last night, okay, Andrew DeCecco, sitting on my couch, no Phillies last night, and on AMC, it was a Rocky marathon last night. And I was up at Mighty Mick's Gym recently. There's a new brewery up there, and I stopped at that brewery. So I got a little nostalgic, and I wanted to watch some Rocky because I just happened to be in that area. And when Nick Sirianni signed his extension, it hit me. How come this guy is not the most popular sports figure in the history of the city? He is Rocky Balboa. He's the most improbable sports figure I can think of. There's not one person who's more improbable of success than Nick Sirianni. Would you agree?
I would agree, and I saw your tweet yesterday, and I definitely agree with that. And I don't know if it's because there's still the memory of the sideline debacle coming off the Browns game or the 2023 slide. But I think you also, first and foremost, have to give credit to Jeffrey Lurie for standing by his coach, believing in him when that decision was met with a lot of skepticism. But you also have to give credit to Nick Sirianni because the season did not get off to the start that everybody anticipated. And instead of sort of packing it in, or even his players really, checking out, they ended up going to him. He was receptive to their feedback, and he altered his philosophical approach. And then you see them literally hit the ground running coming out of that bye. And it is a really good redemption story, but I don't think he gets enough credit for the culture that he sets and having the emotional intelligence, always having that continual growth mindset, and all of those things directly contributed to the Eagles' success last season. And it seems as though a lot of folks are now starting to give him his flowers.
Yeah, you wrote about it over at InsideTheBirds.com, the redemption arc for him. And, yeah, he had the moment against the Browns, which I was very critical of. He had the team 1-6 down the stretch in the 2023 season. So those things all happen and have to be a part of the puzzle. But as I mentioned, it's kind of like the weirdest thing. This guy is so improbable that no one saw him getting this job. No one saw them getting to the playoffs the year that he got the job. No one saw them getting to the Super Bowl the second year. Then the third year, they get off to a 10-1 start. What role did he have in them being 10-1? If you're saying none, well, then you can't say that he's a big part of them being 1-7. They have to be equal parts, right? So I think it's so hard to put my finger on why this guy is polarizing even the right word. It's almost like, well, what does this guy do? They win in spite of him. Anybody could have won with this roster. It is befuddling to me that this guy isn't the toast of the town.
Yeah, it is. And I've been somebody who's been adamant behind Nick Sirianni and what he does behind the scenes to help fuel the Eagles. So they have a talented roster? Absolutely. But for anyone to suggest that anyone could guide this team, or it's just misguided. It's a misguided sentiment because there's so many different things that he does to keep the team together. Look, that 2-2 start without strong leadership, that likely that season slides out of control. So I think that he deserves a lot of acknowledgement and a lot of praise for what he was able to do and keep that team together and have everything moving forward. And every single week you saw them ready to play. They didn't come out flat. They came out ready to go. And that stems from his mindset of, we're going to go 1-0 every week. You're not going to look back. You're not going to look forward. You're not going to play down to the opponent. And it comes down to that hardened resolve, and that really is what he has ingrained into the team.
Talk with Andrew Checo, Football 4 from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. You write in the story, I'm glad you pointed out, he's a Jamestown, New York native, who you also mentioned is 48-20, 6-3 in the postseason, 2 Super Bowls, 1 victory. His 70% win percentage is third among NFL head coaches in the Super Bowl ever. But that's Jamestown, New York. I spent a week in Jamestown. I went to college with a guy who's a buddy of mine from Jamestown. And I say, they're just nice people. And sometimes nice people are not relatable to us here in the Northeast, man. We're a little gritty. We're a little gutty. And it almost feels like I think the people here feel like he's pandering or trying too hard. Meanwhile, I think Nick's literally like, hey, I'm moving my family to this area. I want to be part of the fabric of the community, and he wants to fit into the community, and people are looking at him almost like he's a phony.
Yeah, that's not it at all. Like, he's not a phony. He's very authentic, and I think that's part of what endears himself to his players and why they're ready to run through a brick wall for him. And I know it sounds cliche and corny, Mike, but I've been around Nick Sirianni since the 2021 season, and you see the growth and development and the evolution of a young head coach. And he's sort of finding his way, or he was finding his way until he was able to win the Super Bowl. And I think a lot of the skepticism or the hesitancy to believe in him really stems from he was billed as this offensive mind, and his offense didn't look good, and he had to turn over play calling duties early in his tenure in that first season there. And then, of course, the outburst and things like that, the press conference. So he's done things in an unconventional way, but there should be no doubt that he is the coach to lead this team forward. And I can't emphasize enough about the culture that he sets and the leadership that he has and the emotional intelligence that owner Jeffrey Lurie really preaches and looks for in his head coaches. So there's a lot that he does that doesn't necessarily get the credit. And one sentiment that really doesn't, it kind of rubs me the wrong way and I take umbrage with, is that anyone could pilot that team, when in fact there's many coaches you can point to and say, yeah, you come off that 1-6 skid and then you start 2-2 with all that pressure. Yeah, most teams would fold, or you would see players go the other way and not play as hard, or maybe start to pack it in. That wasn't the case with the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, Andrew DeCecco, you wrote a great story over at InsideTheBirds.com. I ask all our listeners to go check that out. It's on Jordan Mailata and everything. But one thing that Mailata said during his entertaining press conference that stands out to me, and it ties into Sirianni, it's about the culture that they have set, where he says, I told Miles, I told Cameron, and I told Drew. They are the 3 rookies, by the way, for the listeners, are like, who's Miles, Cameron, and Drew? He says, I don't care if you come for my job. If you're better than me, you're going to be better than me. But I'm going to make it damn hard for you to reset. But I'm going to bring you along. I'm not going to keep you down. It's not how it runs here. That comment there stands out to me and sets this organization apart from the also-rans, where here's a guy in Jordan Mailata who says, if you want to come for my job, I don't care if you take it if you're better than me. That has to come from somebody.
Yeah, he said, I'll vouch for you if you're better than me, but I'm going to make it damn hard. And that is, again, the culture that is set. No one's comfortable. No one gets complacent. Competition really lends itself to having a unified team and makes everybody better. And that's not the case everywhere. I know that sounds simple enough. Everybody's on the team. You want to push each other. But you look at Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, mostly with quarterbacks, but you don't often see players saying, hey, look, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to push you, and we're going to see who's the best, who's the last man standing for that job. And I can't emphasize enough that is a big part of what the Eagles are building here and really the foundation of why they have been so successful. And it's easy to look at the on-the-field performance, and they have so much talent on that team, but it starts with Nick Sirianni and the culture that he set, and really Jeffrey Lurie as well. When you look at ownership, and I was asked this question the other day, what would I look for in an owner? You look at giving allocation of resources and things like that. But first and foremost, it's got to be culture, because without that, you have nothing. The Eagles had a lot of talent back in 2010, for example, but they didn't have the coach that had the emotional intelligence, and it didn't work out. So Yes, I think that should not be understated.
Yeah, by the way, Mailata went on to say, he said, it's the culture I was brought into. Why would I shut the door? When I came here, Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Big V, Isaac Seumalo, Stefan Wisniewski, man, go down the list, Chase Wormack. Those guys just welcomed me in, and they brought me along. I feel like I owe it to those rookies to bring them along, and I just told them, if you're better than me, I'll vouch for you, but I'm going to make it damn hard. It ain't easy, but good luck. I absolutely loved hearing him say that there. We're talking with Andrew DeCecco also. All right. Also this week, the tush push, it's been talked about ad nauseum. What was it like? You know, the players were all kind of almost downplaying it. Well, we don't need it. We'll run something different. But the social media team suggested that organization was thrilled with the result. What do you really think the organization felt and how important that play is to them?
Well, I like their messaging on Tuesday because they conveyed a sense of confidence. Okay, you get rid of that play, we'll find another one. We're already effective in the quarterback sneaks. If you take it away from us, we're going to wear it like a badge of honor. We're not going to cry. We're not going to say, woe is me. But internally, Mike, you have to think, and really you've heard Nick Sirianni at the owners' meetings and some of the other players, they take offense to that. They take it personal because of how much work they put into it. And the NFL and the league is suggesting that it's not a football play and this and that, but they don't take into account how much effort and practice time the Eagles put into executing that play at such a high level. Not if it were easy, every team could do it, and they couldn't. And they tried to take it away from the Eagles because they were so good at it and they couldn't stop them. And it was petty and it was really salty behavior by the NFL. So I think that they took that personal. But they conveyed an air of confidence and sort of nonchalant about the whole thing, which I thought was really good.
All right, Andrew, you're around these guys a lot. It was announced, as you wrote about, they will be a part of the HBO Max Hard Knocks NFC East in season this season. Give me three guys you think will be the stars of the show for the Eagles.
This is kind of an easy one. I'm going to say J-Lux Hunt for one because he has the charisma and the personality, and he's going to have a very prominent role this year. So I would imagine that the camera's going to be on him a lot, and he's somebody that likes to cut it up. I'll say Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is obviously a big personality, and he's really stepped up and become a really prominent leader on the Philadelphia Eagles. And then the other one, I'll say Jordan Mailata for some of the reasons that we talked about. You talk about leaders, he's at the top of the list along with Jalen Hurts, Lane Johnson, with BG no longer being there. And I really think that you might catch a clip of him singing. He has a personality that is very inviting and welcoming, coupled with his size and his performance. And I think he's going to be sort of a compelling story to follow throughout the season, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I would think Mailata would definitely, or the offensive line as a group there, will be kind of featured. I got to imagine Big Dom is a part of this big time. Or is he a guy that when you're at practice, do you not see him around? Is he not like I would imagine he's a prominent figure at practice, and I would think.
We see him there. And I think the point that you're making is there are a lot of characters and figures of high character in that team that have that charisma that I think that it's going to be alluring to the HBO cameras. You go down the list. I think Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell would be two players that are going to get a lot of camera time and probably surprise some people with the personality and things like that. So Zach Bond, Kobe Dean. So,
Zach Bond,
it's going to be fun to follow.
No doubt about it. And I got to imagine the teams aren't going to love it, especially the Eagles. I feel like the Eagles play very close to the vest. They don't want their news getting out there. But for the fans, it's like, hey, I don't really want my team on there, but I kind of want to be a voyeur and watch what goes on inside there, right? I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword there.
Yeah. And what I would say to anyone that has any nervousness about how it might affect the season with the distractions or anything like that, if there were ever a team that is able to withstand those outside distractions and quiet that noise, it would be the Philadelphia Eagles, because they have the leadership. It's already instilled in them, and they know what the focus is. Jalen Hurts talks about keeping the main thing, and they've already reached the top of the mountain before, and they talk about how they turn the page right away and how they're ready to go after it again. And they kept talking about how they're focusing on the 2025 season. They're so focused on the task at hand that I really wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, if you're other teams in the NFC East, like the Commanders, who are an upstart team with Jaden Daniels. They're going to have a lot of cameras on them, and every move you make is going to be documented. So you may move a little bit differently and be more cautious about what you're saying and be a little bit more tight. And at Dallas, I think that they would be a team ripe for implosion, especially with the George Pickens of the world there as well. So not every team is wired to be able to handle it, but the Philadelphia Eagles certainly are because of the infrastructure that they have.
All right, Andrew DeCecco, we'll get you out. Now, are you a down the shore guy, or are you down our shore? Do you go to the other shores? Are you a down the shore guy?
I am. I'm a Margate guy. I go to the Delaware beaches as well. Not this weekend, though. Not this weekend. I'll be working, but I am a down the shore guy, and I know you are as well.
Yeah, man. I like the Margate. I didn't know you were a Margate guy. All right, we'll have to catch up in Margate this summer. That's where I would be as
the
well.
Greenhouse, man. The Ventura's Greenhouse is my spot. I love that place.
I see. I guess I can see you at that greenhouse. Yes, I can see you up there on that porch, kind of holding shop up there. All right, well, we'll have to meet up while you're down here. You have to let me know, man. All right.
I for sure will, Mike. Thanks again.
All right, buddy. There's Andrew DeCecco, Football 4 here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. You guys, for those of you who have never seen Andrew, he's got the pipe. I mean, he's got the arms, man. He's built. He's looks like he could beat the crap out of somebody up there. You think you can get into a little tussle over at the greenhouse on the deck if you start messing with my man DeCecco there. Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. It is Happy Hour Friday, everybody. Let us know what you're having on the Happy Hour Friday. 609 403 0973 609 403 0973. Let us know. Give us a good pick for a Happy Hour Friday weekend because we have the extra day. Now, Sunday, we will be doing the On the Porch Phillies game, 4 o'clock. You can watch on the YouTube channel. We'll be watching Phillies Athletics, 4 o'clock Sunday. It will be a fun Sunday, I'll be sure. Because obviously with the Happy Hour Friday, we are off on Monday here, the Sports Bash off on Monday. So we will be watching On the Porch on the YouTube channel on Sunday's show, and you can check that out Sunday at 4 o'clock. All right, Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Thanks to Andrew DeCecco. Hey, everybody is holding off their Memorial Day weekend to come on the show this weekend or this Friday. We heard Bob earlier saying that the only thing that was preventing him from starting Happy Hour Friday was his appearance here on the Sports Bash. So we appreciate everybody who is in the cars, driving down, listening in. Let us know what you're having this weekend. Where are you heading? We got the poll question up at 973 ESPN. What is your shore towns of choice? All right, here we go. I didn't give you my Friday 5 yet for week 3 of the NFL. So every Friday in the fall, we do the Friday 5. So what we're going to do leading up to the NFL season, now that the schedule is out, I will pick the games that I am looking most forward to now. Then fast forward when that week comes around, we will compare if that game is still one of my 5 favorite games. We call it the Friday 5. Here we go. Number 5. It's not a great schedule in week 3 yet. Could change by the time week 3 of the NFL season gets here. All right, Josh, number 5, I got Denver and the Chargers. It's a rematch, or excuse me, not a rematch, but it is a AFC West matchup. Both teams made the playoffs last year. So number 5, a pair of playoff teams, Denver and the Chargers in my Friday 5.
Very solid, very good.
Number 4, the reason I like this game's in Buffalo. It's an early Thursday nighter, Miami and Buffalo. Miami might have a shot here because it won't be too cold in Buffalo. Sometimes they go to Buffalo late in the year and they have to play. That doesn't go so good for the Dolphins. But a week 3 matchup between the Dolphins and the Bills, now I'm more intrigued that the Dolphins might be able to go on the road. That's their only shot.
A much more fair matchup for Miami. You're right. A lot of times you see the Dolphins are going to Buffalo like around Thanksgiving or Christmas, and you're like, that team's going to freeze.
No snow for the Dolphins. All right, number 3, Cincinnati, Minnesota. Cincy and Minnie. I like Cincinnati. I'm a big fan of Burrow, like their offense, although Trey Henderson looks like he is going to not play on this whole contract situation. That's a story that goes into camp. They had the same problem last year with Higgins, so now you had another problem with the guy in contract. What's Minnesota? By week 3, we'll see. Is Cincinnati a team that has playoff aspirations on the path to the playoffs? Minnesota went to the playoffs last year. J.J. McCarthy, this will likely be his 3rd start. So we'll see where this matchup is 3 weeks into the season. But that is number 3 on my Friday 5.
Also, don't forget Cincinnati, new defensive coordinator. They fired Lou Lamoriello, is now Al Golden.
Former Temple coach.
That's right.
Number 2 in my Friday 5, week 3 of the NFL, Dallas and the Bears. Now, the Bears are a team that a lot of people think is going to be a much improved team this year. I'm one of them. I like Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams. Dallas, I think, is going to be better than last year. So this is going to be a fun game. Dallas and the Bears, these two teams, they both feel like they're going to be better than last year, but they meet early in the season. This could have some wild card implications early week 3. Dallas and the Bears in my Friday 5.
It's a very interesting one. You know, you mentioned how the Bears are going to be better this year, and I'm assuming at that point, you know, Dallas is probably still going to be healthy, so we could see a very high-scoring game.
Number 1, Friday 5, week 3, Lions-Ravens. Lions-Ravens. These two teams could be number 1 seeds. So a big game against each other for supremacy in their conferences. Who's the best team, the Lions or the Ravens? That one, to me, stood out as the top game in week 3 of the NFL and my top game in the week 3 Friday 5.
They are also two teams that voted with the Eagles on the Tush Push ban.
By the way, that game is the Monday Night Football game.
Yes.
Might be the best Monday Night Football game of the year.
I look at the whole schedule, but just off the top of my head, I think that might be the best one. You're right, because even I would take that over Green Bay Eagles.
Tell you right now, Monday night games, Minnesota Bears, Tampa, Houston, Chargers, Vegas, Detroit, Baltimore. That's better than all those. Jets, Dolphins, terrible. Cincy, Denver, Kansas City, Jacksonville, awful. Buffalo, Atlanta, Chicago, Washington. That one could be interesting if Chicago holds up their end of the bargain. Tampa Bay, Detroit, Houston, Seattle, Washington, Kansas City. That's a good one. Arizona, Dallas, Philly, Green Bay, Dallas, Vegas, Carolina, San Francisco. Boy, they got the short end of the stick on these games here. New York, New England, Philadelphia Chargers, Miami, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Indianapolis, L.A. Rams, and Atlanta. That's a terrible Monday night schedule this year.
I'm sorry. Did you just say Atlanta versus San Francisco in December?
Atlanta and the Rams. That's the last Monday Night Football game of the season.
Oh, my gosh.
Terrible slate of Monday Night Football games.
Somebody hates somebody.
Yeah, who's on the
ESPN.
Thursday night games here? Washington, Green Bay, good game. Miami, Buffalo, intriguing. Seattle, Arizona, divisional. San Francisco Rams, divisional. Philly, New York, divisional. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, divisional. Minnesota, L.A., Chargers, fun game. Baltimore, Miami, okay, I like that one. Vegas, Denver, meh. Jets, New England, okay, not great. Buffalo, Houston, oh, good game. Bears, Eagles, Lions, Cowboys, Atlanta, Tampa. The Thursday night schedule is Rams, Seattle, and Denver, Kansas City. They got a good game every single week.
Amazon with the win, ESPN with the loss.
Definitely. All right, that's my Friday 5 this week here on the Sports Bash Live. They are, real quick, one more time, Lions, Ravens, Dallas Bears, Cincy, Minnesota, Miami, Buffalo, Denver, and the Chargers. We'll look at week 3 when it gets here and see if those are still in my Friday 5. When we come back, he is the voice of NBC Sports Triple Crown, the Kentucky Derby, and the Preakness. How did Larry Collmus see journalism coming down the stretch in a performance you read about? He'll tell you about it. Coming up next on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
that get through traffic. And once he did, you realized when they were getting close, like, oh my God, he's going to actually get up and win this thing. So it went from that story back to the leader, back to that story, and a little bit of Sandman in between because he had moved up on the outside and he kind of sputtered late. So it was a lot going on for sure. It's a lot easier to do that in the Preakness than it would be the Kentucky Derby because there's 9 horses in that Preakness, 19 in the Kentucky Derby, a lot of other stuff going on. So luckily, I was focused on journalism, but still able to pay attention to everybody else.
Okay, so you mentioned something that perked my ears up. Larry Colmus is with us, NBC Sports, called the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby. You mentioned that Gawker's out front, a long shot. You had a call a couple of years ago where the longest shot won the race. So you're watching the favorite, but how much of a flashback did you have to the moment when the longest shot won the Derby?
Well, the odds were a little bit different in this case. Goster was only, I think, 19-1. Rich Strike was 80-1.
Yes,
he was. And if you're a horse player and you looked at that race on paper, he shouldn't have been 80-1. He should have been 800-1. I mean, he had no chance. But the way the race set up that year, 3 years ago, they were going so fast, and he got a perfect trip, and he just absolutely shocked the world with a run up the inside. I caught him a little bit later than I wanted to, but I mean, you weren't looking. A lot of times you're looking outside for the closers, and sometimes they slip through inside. That happened to me last year with Mystic Dan. He kind of got through inside and it's easier to see when they're making their move outside. So Rich Strike was a shock of shockers for sure.
So how does a total long shot like Rich Strike, because I thought that call, I think that's when we spoke to you last, was Rich Strike, the longest shot. I mean, it was an epic nail. This one here, the favorite comes just blasting from nowhere. How do those two calls compare for you?
I think they had some similar qualities as far as that goes. The one that I go back to, and someone brought this up, I saw on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And they're right. If you listen back to 2012, it was a horse named I'll Have Another won the Preakness. And it looked like he wasn't going to be able to get up. But at the last strides, here he comes. And I remember my voice cracking at the end as I was calling him. And it sounded very similar this year to that call 13 years before with the voice crack and everything, right, as they came to the wire. So those two endings were pretty similar to each other, except I'll Have Another didn't have the traffic that journalism had.
No, but journalism wins by, the smallest of margins, and you nail it with a finish that you read about. Does that just come to you? I mean, how does that come coming out of your pipes there?
What do you call those, rehearsed ad libs? Something like that. I thought of a few things. During the week, you want to, it's a big race, so you want to have some ideas. Yeah. And that was one of the ideas. If he put on some sort of spectacular performance, that sounded like a good play on words, and he did, and so I did.
Yeah, it was, and at that moment, I would love to be. No, I don't know that I can handle the pressure of how you standing in that spot, seeing that happen, and then say, "Here it is, right here." But in that type of finish, it's one thing if he's blowing the field away and crossing the finish line. The fact that it is that close and you get that, I mean, to not stumble over it and deliver it the way you did was simply epic.
Well, I appreciate that. Now I've called a lot closer. Obviously, that one was, what was it like? I didn't see the official order margin of finish, but it didn't appear to be like it was going to be a question when he was approaching the wire. He's got momentum.
The momentum was just so much
rolling late. Yeah.
So obviously, you mentioned the Preakness and the Derby here. There's been a lot of conversation about moving the schedule. You're getting prepared for both of these races. What is your kind of thoughts on where the horse racing world is right now? Because obviously there's a lot of people discussing this, and I'm like, well, if they haven't done this in the history of the race, why are we all of a sudden discussing this now? You're getting ready for these races. Do you need an extra week? Do you like the way it is?
Me personally, I don't need an extra week, but I think the horses do. The sport's changed the way horses are trained, and I I've always been a traditionalist. That's the way the Triple Crown is, but it really it could change. I mean, look at other sports. Look at the change to basketball, the 3-point line.
Yeah.
They change the rules of the NFL every year. Baseball has made changes, some good, some not so good. I'm not a fan of that putting that guy on second base stuff, but I I think that because horses are trained differently now and they're used to running more space between races, that it could be time if the three tracks can agree. I mean, obviously Churchill Downs doesn't have to change anything. They're good for what the Kentucky Derby is. But if New York and Maryland can get together and say, hey, let's space these things out, make a little change, and it'll be a change for the better. And it wouldn't make the Triple Crown any easier either, because they'd be on an even playing field. You'd have more horses in the Preakness that will come back and more horses in the Belmont Stakes. It would also help the other races on the day be better. So I think overall it would be a good thing for racing, but it's not an easy decision, especially for New York the New York tracks to decide that they're ready to move the Belmont to help out the Preakness. I get both sides, but I think overall for the sport, I think that moving the Triple Crown to maybe 4 weeks between races would be good.
Larry Colmus is our guest here. The Belmont's coming up. It's going to be at Saratoga, which I've been to many times. Love that place. It is an awesome setting for a race. Journalism, sovereignty. They possibly could see, the tiebreaker here. No Triple Crown, but do you think this is going to kind of elevate the Belmont, which sometimes gets lost in the sauce when there's not a Triple Crown, possibility?
Yeah, the best thing you can do if you don't have a Triple Crown possibility is to have a rivalry, right? So you've got Sovereignty who already beat Journalism. Journalism comes back and runs a spectacular race in the Preakness. Hey, if they both run in the Belmont, it'll definitely make the race more interesting.
Okay, so you saw these two horses in action. If you were just saying, hey, I'm taking one of those, are you a Sovereignty or are you going Journalism?
Well, I mean, we saw in Kentucky when the two of them faced off together that Sovereignty won, and he won fair and square. And the distance is 1.25 miles again. I would have to say, an edge to Sovereignty for sure.
Okay, Larry Colmus is with us here. If you guys missed his call of the Preakness, which I don't know how you could, it's been all over the place. I got to tell you, I was out that night. We watched the race. My girlfriend, huge horse fan, loves the races, watched the Derby, the Preakness on that Saturday night. And the call, we played it over and over again. I said, my gosh, what an unbelievable, finish to this race here. You take a look at the sport right now, as you said, it maybe some changes possibly. However, what I would like to kind of get from you is this season right here where you saw it, Journalism was the horse that everybody had been talking about. Mm-hmm. It's like the sport as a whole. You got Baffert back here, a former Philly. Jason Worth has kind of become very famous with this. Where do you see the sport of horse racing right now? And 22 million watched your call on the Derby, another 6 million last week. Is this growing? Is this sport growing?
I hope so. I mean, it's been a good year as far as storylines, and the other one was a young content creator called Griffin Johnson, who's a part owner of Sandman. He's got 9 million TikTok followers, and he's a Generation Z, and we had a lot of interest from the younger people because of him and his journey through the Kentucky Derby and Preakness with Sandman. And I'm hoping that years ago, I remember this line. A friend of mine who used to be the PR director at the New Jersey and the New York tracks, a guy named Steve Schwartz. Remember, he said to me, "One of these days we're going to be so out that we're going to be in." So maybe,
like that.
maybe that's now. Who knows? I like to keep a positive feel, and things have been good this year for sure.
American Pharaoh, 2015. Is that still your favorite moment?
It has to be, right. 37 years since the Triple Crown happened, and you got to be the one to narrate it. I mean, it was so cool, and just to be through that process and get to be up in that booth at Belmont Park when history was made was just just an amazing and incredible thing, and just a cool horse too. Just to be able to meet him afterwards, at Saratoga a few weeks later, and get up and close and personal with American Pharoah, he was like a golden retriever. Just the kind as can be, and it was just so neat.
As you said, and coined him a horse of a lifetime. He won the Breeders' Cup as well. Got Justify as well, called another Triple Crown. But this race this weekend, Larry Coleman, or 2 weekends, I guess. We're going into Memorial Day weekend now. It was a truly epic call from Larry. I'd be remiss in New Jersey here. People will always remember your call of "My wife knows everything the wife doesn't know" at Monmouth Park here, our Jersey listeners. Let's take a quick listen to the end of that race.
Lady Mutata, my wife knows everything. Center of the track, the wife doesn't know. Into the final furlong, my wife knows everything. The wife doesn't know. They're 1-2. Of course they are. My wife knows everything in front. To the outside, the wife doesn't know. My wife knows everything. The wife doesn't know. My wife knows everything. More than the wife doesn't know. Whew. Miss Tallahassee was third, and Morningside Heights was fourth.
That one has probably got as much attention as some of your Triple Crowns.
Or if not more. But the ones this year catching up, we were all over. I was shocked. I even joined TikTok, and I'm up to like 50 followers or something like that. But the
follow Larry on TikTok, everybody.
Yeah, at Larry Colmus. It was, I think the Derby got something like 1.5 million views of me calling the race from the booth, and the Preakness is up to 1 million on TikTok. It's been all over the place, so it's been neat. And by the way, as far as New Jersey goes, I'm still here. This is where I am right now in Monmouth Beach, New Jersey. That's my home, and I don't get to spend a lot of time here, but I'm here today at least.
Memorial Day weekend down the shore. A little iffy on the weather, but hey, guess what? Great spot. Check out Larry on social media. By the way, would you buy a vow? Are you trying to get in the game show? Wheel of Fortune, is that you?
So funny story. So we're after the Preakness, I got invited to dinner, and it's become a little tradition that we have dinner with Cal Ripken, of all people.
Nice.
Cal has become friends with my friend Billy Koch, who has a stable called Little Red Feather Racing, and he's like, "You're invited to the Cal dinner." So I get to the restaurant, and they take me up to where the table is. I'm the last one to arrive because I had to call the race, So I get up there, and there's one seat left, and I'm looking like, what the hell is that, Pat Sajak? And I'm still like, okay, I'm going to sit next to Pat Sajak. And like you said earlier, we're playing the race. And so I introduced myself. He goes, "So I want to hear the call." So I've got my phone, and I'm playing the call of the Preakness for Pat Sajak. And
unbelievable.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
It's like, what a day.
Well, I'll tell you, we were at a brewery on that Saturday. The Phillies game is on one side, and your call is on the other, and everyone is fixated looking at the screen. And, that you read about, and the place just erupts as like, holy mackerel, what an unbelievable finish. And that's where we'll finish with Larry Colmus right here on Last Word on Sports Media. Loved every minute of it, Larry. And obviously, by the way, for the people out there that want to watch the third leg of the Triple Crown, it's the Belmont on Fox on June the 7th, live from Saratoga, and that will be the following weekend as the third leg of the Triple Crown. But he called the first two. Larry Coleman, NBC Sports, kind enough to join us here on Last Word on Sports Media. Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome, Mike. Anytime.
All right, there's Larry Coleman, everybody. Excellent breakdown as he gave us the information on how he saw it, how he called it, and the finish that you read about. All right, thanks to Larry Colmus. It is Memorial Day weekend. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. Hey, let me tell you about my friends over at Game Day Men's Health. Memorial Day weekend's here, guys. I know you want to get out and be the weekend warrior with the nice weather, maybe some hoops, maybe a little softball league, a little men's baseball league. Whatever you're doing, you're probably going to be sore afterwards, at least if you're my age. Hey, check out my friends at Game Day Men's Health. They can get you back in the game quickly with MSK therapy. Treatable areas, plantar fasciitis, back pain, neck pain, foot, heel, ankle, stress fractures, knee, tendon pain, hamstring, shoulder. They have MSK therapy, accelerated healing, highly effective, non-invasive, no scarring. Plus, Testosterone low? They can check you out. Want to get into weight loss? They can check you out. ED guys, check yourselves out. Vitamin injections and supplements. They have it all. Game Day Men's Health, right around the corner. 3069, centrally located in the heart of Egg Harbor Township on English Creek Avenue. 15 quick minutes, free consultation. You can get your blood work done here as well. All you need to do is stop in or make the call to Game Day Men's Health, 609-365-7088. Tell them Mike Gill from the Sports Bash sent you.
Memorial Day savings are here at the Home Depot. So take your kitchen to the next level with up to 35% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like LG. Plan your get-togethers with an LG refrigerator you can count on for years to come at the Home Depot. And with the connected ThinQ app, you'll know if the door is left open and when to change the filter. Spend less time worrying this Memorial Day with savings on LG, America's most reliable appliance brand at the Home Depot. Offer valid May 15th through June 4th, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
All right, happy hour Friday, everybody. Memorial Day weekend down the shore. The Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Be a part of the show. Many ways you can do it. 609 403-0973, 609-403-0973 on the text board. You can get involved that way. You can always hit us up on Twitter, X, at Mike Gill Show, at 973 ESPN. We got so much happening. It is the start of the summer season. Although the weather is not great, we still have plenty of stuff happening down the shore, and we will share our favorite spots coming up with you at 5:30-ish, as we generally do every year on the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. We give you all the spots you need to check out this summer, places to go. Our Happy Hour Friday text board is open, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973, if you want to make sure that you get your Happy Hour Friday picks in for the weekend. We had a lot of pictures of the beers this weekend. What are you having? Give us a good IPA selection or whatever beer you're having, a nice stout, something to get you ready for Memorial Day weekend. This is Oasis that we're playing here. Bob Wankel, Crossing Broad, a little Mike and Bob Friday Phillies chat. So we did a Stump the Sports Geek on Thursday. No, it was on what'd you say there, Josh?
Wednesday.
Oh, yes, it was Wednesday. We did Stump the Sports Geek Wednesday. The category was lead singers. If I said lead singers, would you say, okay, I could do that? Or am I one of these few people that could tell you the lead singers of bands? Or is that, like, not particularly...
If you gave me the lead singer and asked me what band, I might have a shot. If you said band, what's the lead singer's name?
Really? So do you know who the lead singer of the Foo Fighters is?
Oh, Dave Grohl, right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Do you know who the lead singer of Oasis is?
No, the brothers, though.
The brothers Gallagher, yes.
Yes,
Liam Gallagher is the lead singer.
Yeah.
Radiohead?
No, I should. See, that's embarrassing. Like, this is gonna get dark on me here pretty quickly.
All right. Well, he got two. He got 2 right out of 10. He didn't get the White Stripes.
Okay.
REM?
Michael Stipe.
Correct. The Cure?
I don't know.
He played running back for the Vikings years ago.
Is that Adrian Peterson?
Robert Smith. Blondie?
No clue.
Really?
Nah, no clue.
Deborah Harry? Come on, man.
Would have never gotten that.
Really? You don't know Deborah Harry? All right. Well,
no, I'm not. I'm not the right guy.
No, I thought that this would be. You did get Dave Grohl. He didn't know that.
I thought Michael Stipe was probably the most interesting of all of them. You know, like that was probably the one, the hardest one.
By the way, Tom York is the Radiohead lead singer.
Okay. All right.
Bob did okay. He wasn't great. He was like 50-50. Josh got 2. We got Fleetwood Mac and No Doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean that's Gwen Stefani.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good job. Bob Wankel, where do you head down the shore? Where is your shore spot? I feel like every human being that lives west of here comes down the shore. It's like not one person you talk to is like, I've never been down there before. I don't vacation down there. I feel like everybody.
Growing up, the Wankel family vacation was always 2 weeks in Ocean City. I have a sister down there who has a place in Cape May, and then I have another sister who has a place in North Wildwood. My preference is North Wildwood. I like the Keenans and the outlet or the inlet and all that stuff. I like all that.
So you're a North Wildwood voter.
I am.
All right.
Yeah.
So our poll question at 973 ESPN right now, the Wildwoods is bringing up the rear for your favorite shore towns. Brigantine, Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate is generally my guess. That's my home stomping grounds. They are in third place. Ocean City / Cape May got their own category. They're at 40%. And then the 7 Mile Island Sea Isle conglomerate, they are the next group at 25%. So interesting to see because you hear these people.
I wasn't a big Cape May guy growing up, but as I've gotten older, I've come to like it. And there's a couple cool spots down there. You got some places to go drinking. I don't know if we're giving shout outs to local businesses on air or anything like that, but I like that Naughty Spirits is a cool little place.
Yeah, it's a fun spot.
Yeah, fun spot.
Yeah, definitely. Cape May, yeah, right. As you got a little older, you can appreciate it more, the charm of the city a little bit more. When you're a little younger and see, I didn't realize this when I was younger living down here. Sea Isle and Avalon, you just kind of group them almost as the same, but it's a little different as you got older. Sea Isle got a little bit more grit to it, and then Avalon a little bit more, I got to pop my collar a little bit.
Yeah, I would say so. I always have the real estate apps. I just see what's available down there. Not that I can buy any of it, but you see those houses pop up in Avalon. You're like, all right, $3 million. What are we looking at here? It's like a shed.
Yeah, well,
$3 million.
You get the randos. A couple people I was talking to were like, yeah, I go to Brigantine, which I love Brigantine, but to hear that people that's their spot, that's a whole nother world over there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a passport to get over that bridge. It's like, hey, I'm coming in. Here I come.
Well, either way, just so you know, the only thing that is standing between myself and a happy hour Friday is Mike Gill. So that's how much I care about you, Mike.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And I know a lot of people getting ready to hear what you have to add to the conversation here on this. By the way, in the pantheon of bad baseball teams, the Colorado Rockies rank where?
They might be at the top. Worst start, I believe, over 50 games since 1895. The Rockies, they're on pace to win 26 games. I know that we saw that White Sox team here recently, and you think to yourself, how could it get any worse than that? But this Rockies team is absolutely horrible. And Phillies did exactly what they should do, and they should be applauded for that. But yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't get any worse than what we saw this week in Colorado.
Well, it doesn't get any worse, but they're facing a team that has lost 9 straight games. Now, this is a team that came to Philly last year and won 2 out of 3. I went to the game where Rooker went bananas. And, of course, after that, they said, you got to do everything you can to get that guy. I can't imagine they can get Rooker. He just signed an extension. But is Mason Miller at all on the radar, do you think, for the Phillies?
Yeah, I mean, look, is he on the radar? I would imagine so. Obviously, the A's got off to a decent start here. They're kind of an interesting team. They have some guys in that lineup that have a little bit of pop. They have a couple of functional starters. But it's not a very good baseball team. It's not a team that's going to compete. And I don't know that it's going to be a team that competes for a while, to be perfectly honest with you. So if you put Miller out on the market and there's a team that comes through with the right package, I'd have to imagine the A's listen to that. The Phillies should call. They should be interested. I still think it's probably a little bit of a long shot in terms of being able to acquire him just because the prospect price or the package that you'd have to put together, I think, would be so significant. It just feels like the Phillies are at this place in their progression where they're not going to go nuts in terms of outbound players. So I guess I'd be surprised, but they should certainly look.
Yeah, it's like what level do you have to get get a player that's a closer, right? I mean, if he's got 4 controllable years, that obviously adds to the price, right? Of the Phillies prospects, how far would you be willing to go for a closer?
It just happens to be the Phillies' most pressing need, and I acknowledge that Jordan Romano in the month of May has been phenomenal, and maybe he really has turned a corner here. I mean, it does look real, and the slider, which he struggled so much with early in the season, has really rebounded, and it looks like a plus pitch. They need another arm out there. They need a premium arm out there, and so it would be a heck of a fit. How far do you go? In terms of the Phillies prospects, I would probably start a conversation with a guy like Abel at this point. You might talk about Crawford as well. And then you might say, if you want somebody a little bit more major league ready, we, have a Johan Rojas or a Brandon Marsh that we could throw in there. I don't think the Phillies could go further than that, and I don't know that that's enough to get it done. So
if you told me it was Abel, Crawford, and then one of those guys, I'm in.
And maybe along with that, there's hey, take your pick from this grouping of players. Maybe they give them another 5 or 6 prospects that aren't necessarily the names that we always hear. You say you can have another one in addition. Maybe that gets it done. I just doubt it, though.
All right. What level of player could you expect back for an Otto Kemp? I get so many people that say, Kemp, you got to trade, what about him? To me, he's 25 years old, ripping up AAA. I don't think there's a lot of value there. Is he the guy that you say, hey, We just need another right-handed arm. He's not a closer, but we'll give you him. Colorado, here's a 25-year-old guy's hitting 350 with 11 bombs. See if you can find a spot for him. We'll take your best reliever.
Yeah, I think you could maybe get a middle reliever type for an Otto Kemp. I mean, Otto Kemp's an interesting prospect is the way to say it. He's obviously having a great season. He still strikes out a lot. He has defensive limitations. There's not a whole lot you can do with him defensively. He can maybe go stand out there in left field. He's kind of an average defensive third baseman, maybe a little bit below. And so I think that's part of the issue with him. But yeah, could you get back a usable part that could help you in 25 for Otto Kemp right now? Maybe.
All right. How has Ranger Suarez's last 3 starts complicated any decisions that might be coming up the pipeline here?
Look, you and I have talked a little bit about this abundance of starting pitching that the Phillies have and what they're going to do. And one part of the mystery was shored up this week. Rob in Colorado had said Taijuan Walker will make one more start, and then we're going to go ahead and put him back in the bullpen and see if he can be a meaningful bullpen option for us. And I think that's probably the way to approach it with Taijuan Walker at this point. But when Andrew Painter comes and Aaron Nola returns, and you still have only so many spots, and so there's an odd man out. And I know that Ranger Suarez is the guy that everybody's looking at. He's left-handed. He's done it before, the whole deal. But I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon with Ranger Suarez. Number one, if in the event you want to maybe look at his worth on the open market, I think it probably makes most sense to bill him as a starter. So if you take him out of the rotation now, you're not letting other teams evaluate what you have in Ranger Suarez. I don't think that the Phillies are in such a dire situation, 14 games above 500 right now, leading the division, that they need to make a rash decision on this and really force the issue right now. And a guy that can go out and give you 6 or 7 innings and give up anywhere between 1 and 3 runs is just more valuable than Ranger Suarez coming out of the bullpen in the 8th inning. Yeah. It just is. And so when you factor all the baseball considerations into it, and then you add on the political consideration, which is this is a guy that's in a contract year that's been a really good member of this organization. I don't think the Phillies are going to do that to him. I don't think you're going to say, hey, Ranger, you've made 4 starts, 3 of which have been awesome. Now we're going to ship you to the bullpen because Jose Alvarado made a mistake, and now you're going to pay the price for it. I don't think that's how the Phillies are going to do business here.
Okay, then if not him, he stays, and then you got Painter who's knocking on the door there. Is it a fait accompli that they're going to have to go to a 6-man rotation?
I think that the Phillies have alluded to the fact that they will probably in spots go to a 6-man rotation. I would almost guarantee that we see it. Maybe not for the duration of Painter's arrival onward, but I do think it's something that, depending on the schedule, that they may implement and try to remain flexible with. It's one of those things that if Ranger Suarez does not perform, then that changes the conversation between now and maybe 4 or 5 weeks from now. But if he's going to continue to throw this well, I don't think that that's something that we're going to see. The other guy in all of this is Mick Abel, and I think that he is either going to pitch himself into becoming a trade piece here at the deadline, or I do think that you're going to see him pitch out of the bullpen for the Phillies at some point in the regular season here.
Yeah, the bullpen, by the way, currently constructed is Jordan Romano, Matt Strahm, Orion Kerkering, Joe Ross, Tanner Banks, Jose Ruiz, Carlos Hernandez, and Max Lazar. Is that sustainable?
No, it's not. I mean, it's very obvious that bullpen is short, and credit to the main guys being Strahm, Kerkering, and Romano, who are all pitching pretty well in this moment. But we know that at some point, one of those guys, if not a couple of them, are going to falter. And there's just not enough depth there to say this bullpen game after game after game, once the competition increases, is going to be able to stand up and excel. It was shorthanded prior to the Alvarado suspension. It's even shorter now. They are not paying for the price for it in the short term here, but it's going to cost them at some point. They have to add. They probably need to make at least 2 meaningful additions, whether it's internally or externally.
All right, Bob Blanco, Crossing Broad, and, of course, you can check out the Fighting Words podcast. You talked about the leadoff spot in the podcast. You look at the platoon situation at second base. Does that make the leadoff spot still up in the air?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. And look, it's very clear at this point now that they have a full-blown platoon going on at second base between Edmundo Sosa and Bryson Stott. And I think that the the common wisdom here in this area is that Bryson Stott's a guy that deserves to play every day, and he's a guy, and everyone likes him, and he's a plus defender, and there's a lot to like about Bryson Stott's game, but at some point, you kind of look at the numbers and go, it seems like the perception of Bryson Stott is exceeding the reality of Bryson Stott, and he's only got 30 at-bats against lefties this season, and he's 7 for 30. It's a 233 average. He's only slugging 267 against lefties, 570 OPS. Like, it's not good enough. And you say, okay, well, he's not hitting leadoff against lefties, and that's true. But it's like they're not even really giving an opportunity to do it. It's not like we've watched Bryson Stott for 125 at-bats this season against lefties, and they're saying, okay, we got to go platoon here. They're kind of out ahead of it. And I think that's pretty revealing where they're at in the assessment of Bryson Stott at this point.
So
he's just not getting on base enough. I mean, the bottom line is he's got a 321 on base percentage. It's not good enough for a leadoff hitter.
No, you're right about that. And I wanted to get to, because Schwarber is having maybe his best season ever. Is that a byproduct of him not hitting leadoff?
Well, he's done some of that damage out of the leadoff spot, but I mean, most of it is in the middle of this order here. And I think that he's comfortable there. I think that he is just really coming to his own as a hitter. And I think that that's a thing you don't want to mess with right now. It looks like Bryce Harper's finally getting comfortable. He's heated up here. I know the level of competition. Everyone on X or Twitter is very quick to point that out. But he sort of resurrected his season. I just leave Harper and Schwarber in the middle of that lineup. And if I have to kind of deal with a little bit of a lack of production from Bryson Stott at the top, then so be it. And then obviously when Trey Turner's at the top, he's been very good this year. I mean, Trey Turner's on pace for 194 hits right now.
The implication of trying to find that right-handed bat, if that's the case and you get that guy, does Turner stay at the top of the lineup?
Probably. What's really interesting is that when we look at this offense and we say, how can it improve? How can this offense sort of shore up a little bit? We keep looking at center. We keep looking at left. I've mentioned third, even though Alec Boehm, again, has been very good now the last.
Yeah, baby. Don't get on my guy Boehm now.
But this is the thing. And I know, right? And I actually had said on one of our recent shows that everyone's going to be going nuts. Alec Boehm's going to be hitting 274 and say, see? And I'd point out to you again that he's a 274 slap hitter.
Yeah,
it's not what I want out of a third baseman who's supposed to be a middle of the order guy. But the point being is that maybe you start to look at second base and say, could we be a little bit better there? Is there a way that we can go about this that might take a little bit more creativity than what we would have initially had planned for?
You had a really bad at bat from your right fielder yesterday, man. That was horrendous. Bases loaded, infield in, and a one-hand pickleball shot to the second baseman. I mean, geez, how many times have we seen that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think one of the biggest storylines about this Phillies team so far is the offense. And I know that we watch it and we say, this is pretty underwhelming still. And there's this perception that it's a boom or bust offense. They still live and die by the home run. Yeah. You probably hear that 10 times a week, people texting and talking to you and all that. But the numbers don't really bear that out. Like, they're third in batting average, third in on-base percentage. They're seventh best in strikeout rate. They're fifth best in walk rate. They lead baseball in singles. Like, they're not really a boom or bust, home run or bust offense. In fact, if anything, I'd like them to have a little bit more pop. It's been a productive offense. It's a top 5 offense by a lot of different measures. But, the eye test tells you that they're missing a piece here.
No doubt. And listen, my guy Rojas steals a base, goes to third because of his speed, and then the $100 million man slaps one to the second baseman here. Come on, when you get a stolen base and go to third with your speed, you got to take advantage with the big boppers, and they're not getting it done in those spots there. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. You're right about the fact that they need more power. They need more home runs because one guy who's not giving them the power that he's had in the past is Turner. 26 homers, 20-plus homers. Now he's got three.
Yeah, he's definitely a different hitter right now. There's no question about it. It's tough though to really knock him a whole ton here. I mean, he's hitting 303. Like I said, he's on pace for 194 hits. He's on pace for about 30 doubles, but he's only on pace for 10 home runs.
Yeah,
and he's a guy at this point you're kind of penciling in to hit somewhere between 20 and 25 for you.
here's a question for you on that. Well, if Turner hit lead, if they got a right-handed hitter, right, that was a middle-of-the-order guy, you keep the two lefties together, or does this middle-of-the-order guy now hit two? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
I don't
Hoskins,
know.
when he was here, he hit in the two hole. And I was thinking about today because everybody's kind of like, oh, maybe you get Hoskins back. He did hit two here, which I hate it. His on base percentage is like 400 right now. So would you keep the two lefties together, or would somebody split those two lefties and hit in the three? That would be another interesting conversation.
Well, I probably am not that hesitant to keep the two lefties in Schwarber. You're talking about Schwarber and Harper, correct? Just to clarify. I mean, Harper's going to put together professional at-bats against both righties and lefties, and Kyle Schwarber is at a point in his career where he has, and we started seeing this last year, where he basically has reverse splits. He's hitting 303 against lefties this season. He's hitting 228 against righties. I mean, he's slugging 758 with a 1.203 OPS against left-handed pitching this season. So go ahead, stack them together. Who cares? He's performing much better against lefties than he is righties.
Well, and that what we keep saying, hey, you got to find this right-handed bat to hit in the middle of the lineup. Well, theoretically, if you got another bat, that person may hit in the two hole and have Turner just stay as the leadoff guy.
Yeah, and I would love to. I mean, we've been talking about this theoretical bat for a long time now, and we keep kind of, I will say, keep mentioning that bat as being somebody that has some pop. And I think in an ideal world, that's what you get here. But I just think they need a plus bat. Whatever the skill is, whether it's on base, whether it's average, whether it's more of a complete player or it's more of a power player, like they just need one more guy that comes up where you say, all right, we have him in this time through the order. I expect something good to happen. I just feel like they're a piece away, whatever that piece is. And I want it to be right-handed, but heck, at this point, I would even take a guy that's left-handed. Just an impact bat.
Okay, that's interesting. Because
you're not getting it out of left field. Like, that's the issue. Max Kepler isn't giving you that impact that you were hoping for against right-handed pitching.
Fair, yeah. You look at, so you're essentially saying if you found a left-handed bat that just flat out replaced him, then he becomes, now you got him and Marsh just wasting away in Margaritaville.
Yeah, well, here's the thing with Max Kepler. I don't think that we're on the Whit Merrifield plane here by any stretch, but you fast forward another 6 weeks and you look up and the guy's hitting 220 and he's not doing anything special against righties. We know that he's got some vulnerabilities against left-handed pitching. At some point, you say, like, well, we don't have to platoon left field. Let's just upgrade it, period.
Got it. All right, man. Well, enjoy Happy Hour Friday without me. I like it.
Shoot you a couple texts off there. I got some good ones lined up today.
All right, good, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
523, Bob Wankel. Appreciate him. Happy Hour Friday starts for him. Mine doesn't start for about another 37 minutes. But when we come back, it is Friday of Memorial Day weekend, and we're going to take you from Brigantine down to Cape May. What you got to check out this summer? You tell me. Give me some great recommendations right now. If you're in the car, where's your summer spot? What are you checking out this summer? 609-403-0973 on the text board. 609-403-0973. If you're sitting in traffic, you're heading somewhere, where are you making sure you check out this year, this summer? New spot, old spot, regular spot, Brigantine down to Cape May, out to Millville, over to Delaware, up to Toms River, Hamilton, everywhere in between. Give me a spot that you're making sure you want to check out this summer down the shore. Memorial Day weekend, we do it for you every Friday before Memorial Day weekend. I'm going to take you from Brigantine all the way down to Cape May and everywhere in between, what you need to check out, what you need to get when you're there. But I need your help too. 609-403-0973. Give me a spot that I have to check out this summer. What's the new hot spot or something that I need to check out this summer? Let me know. Hit me up. That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. 5:30 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. It is a happy hour Friday. We're getting ready for Memorial Day weekend. Now, I haven't looked outside in a while. It was kind of meh when I came to work today. Is it any better out there? I mean, is it like, hey, look, things are looking up? I don't know. But what I do know is the summer is here. That's great. People coming down the shore, please be respectful. Have a good time this summer. Let's enjoy it. And what I need from you guys out there at 609-403-0973, give me some places this summer you're looking forward to checking out. There's so many new spots that keep popping up this summer down the shore. So we'll kind of start down in Brigantine, work our way down to Cape May. Now, listen, I know our signal reaches all the way out to like Tom's River up that way. I got to be honest, I have not been out in that area all that often. However, if you have some recommendations on places that I should check out, I have gone up there a little bit more recently. I've been on LBI, hit Ship Bottom, the brewery up there a little while back. Definitely want to check out some of the breweries up there, but is there someplace, where's the place where you did a bunch of stops there for the football season you said was really cool?
Yeah, Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton.
Okay, so there's Tuckerton, which isn't too far from here.
No, it's right on Route 9, too. It's on the main road.
So give us a spot that you think that we have to check out this summer. 609-403-0973. I've already seen some come in on the text board here. I like this one, the Station House in Wildwood. You know, we did a show from there for 99 bottles this year. That place was really cool. Mudhen, it's a great spot. It is right there in Wildwood. So if you're coming down the shore this summer, you're like a brewery. It's kind of a brew pub. They got food there as well. Definitely a cool. The Station House. Have you been there yet?
I haven't been to the Station House yet. You were there most recently than I am.
Place is awesome.
I got to tell you, my favorite thing about Mudhen is actually the fact that I think the food is incredibly underrated.
They got good food. The beer is very good. But I would say that trumps the food and the beer is definitely the building itself. Like, it's a cool building. The outside there is awesome. That Station House, they got live music. It's legit there. If you want to stay in Wildwood, Anglesea is another brewery over there. I like that spot. I went over there. It's kind of in a weird area, but underneath the bowling alley. And the bowling alley is not open anymore, right?
Yeah, Anglesea Ale Works.
Yes, Anglesea Ale Works is the brewery over there. Just was in Wildwood not too long ago. A couple of weeks ago, I was down in Wildwood. I got to tell you, we're going to be in Wildwood coming up
on Wednesdays, right?
Well, all summer on Wednesdays, we will be there, and I'll give you more details on that. But we are going to be at Pig Dog in Wildwood on Friday, June 13th. We will be at Pig Dog Beach Bar. That is at Maury's Pier. We will be there live on a Friday. So stop out and check out that place. Let me know. I've never been there before. I hear they're listeners of the show. Appreciate it. Looking forward to getting there live. That is on the pier at Maury's, live at Pig Dog Beach Bar in Wildwood. We'll be there. Yes, we're going to be giving you details. We're going to be at Wildwood a lot this summer. We'll give you that. Brigantine. I want to go up to Brigantine. And look, again, 609-403-0973. Give us some spots that you would like to check out this summer and where to go. I'll read them off at the end here. Got to be over in Brigantine. Now, Brigantine, cool little town if you're down the shore. My guys over there at Ernest & Sons make a great sandwich. If you're going to the beach, stop by, see Mel, Ernest & Sons. Right across the street is Tiki Taco. If you like the Mexican stuff, I like that place there. They got tacos, good burrito bowls over there. Also, right next door is a Jersey Cow, which ice cream-wise, I don't know that you're topping anywhere in the area. They also got the La Scalas over there. You've been there a bunch. Yep. I've been over there once to the Brigantine one. I've been to the one in Glassboro. I've been to the one on Cooper River. Never had a bad time there. They got a good drink selection as well, so I would recommend if you're going to Brigantine, those three spots there, pretty solid.
Yeah, La Scalas and Brigantine, one of the coolest things is that they're right on the beach. So you can literally be sitting on the beach with a drink in your hand listening to live music.
Yeah, man. So Brigantine got those couple spots there. Atlantic City, just ton of stuff. You know, we're big fans of Ocean Casino. I think it's one of the top spots in the city, not just because we're there every Monday, but I'm really a big fan of Villain and Saints for live music, NOLA for live music. But you got to go to the Seed. If you haven't been to the Seed, you have to check it out. It is definitely, I would say, of all the breweries in the area, probably number one on my list. When I go there, their IPAs are dynamite. So check out the Seed. Tony Baloney is a great spot up there in the Inlet. If you want to go to Back Bay, if you like a little outdoor stuff, you want to go old school and go local style, you got Tony's Baltimore Grill. Many of the locals know that. But it really is a cool little vibe, just kind of old school 70s feel in there. Get a pizza. I love the pizza there. And there's so many other cool spots you can hit. If you want to get off the island a little bit, you go over to the Wonder Bar, over the bridge to Vagabond, so check that out as well. All right, you go down to Ventnor. Ventnor is starting to get a little bit more vibe going on there. They got a liquor license now. They got the new place, Ventnor Social, which I checked out last weekend. It was the old Santucci's, so it's got a little deck bar. I think they're supposed to open this weekend. I like the top deck there, though. It's cool. It's unfortunate it's on, like, Ventnor Avenue, so the view is not great. It's not like you see the ocean or anything, but you are outside. You're in Ventnor. Good spot. I haven't tried the food. I don't know anything about the food. I did like the upstairs deck, though, so check that out. I do hear they're really trying to get, like, a sports bar kind of feel to it, and it's going to be a lot more brighter. One of the things about Santucci's, when it was in Ventnor, it was kind of like a low-lit place. They're going to try to open that garage up, and it's going to be a good spot. So let them know that we liked it there. Margate, I like the old favorites in Margate, man. I don't know what's new over there, but Robert's Place, you can't beat their wings and their pizzas and their ribs, and just a great spot. Maynard's, we always do shows live from Maynard's in Margate. You can't beat by the way, someone just texted me that the Ventnor Social downstairs is opening tonight, so look forward to get some reviews on that. You can't beat Maynard's outside. They have a great outdoor area. They redid the whole thing a little while back. Check that out. All right, driving a little bit further, if you're heading over the bridge to Ocean City. Look, Ocean City has a ton of little spots. I mean, Pacini's just opened back up here recently. Everybody has their little spots in Ocean City. I mean, I could give you a million of them that you should check out. But, it's a family resort town. You got to find out what the lines are like in some of these places. Definitely on your way through Ocean City, stop at a little deli or something. They still have, it's one of those places. Boyers, I know the 55th Street spot isn't open anymore, but what's the other street they have their spot on?
So it's on Asbury Avenue near 14th.
Yeah. So, one of those they still have those little deli spots that are always kind of cool to check out. You go over into 7 Mile, Sea Isle area. You start to, get a little different vibe over there. You get Stone Harbor on 96th Street. I am a fan. Oh, man, I can't. The name of the place just blanked. Right where your spot is, the 96th Street pub. What's that called?
Stone Harbor Bar and Grill.
Stone Harbor Bar and Grill. Right there. There's that little nautical bar in the back there.
Talking about the wharf?
No, not the wharf. Man, I had it written down here, and I can't read my handwriting. I'll get it in a second here. It's kind of new. There's an upstairs and there's a downstairs. The watering hole is upstairs. It's the one that's below the watering hole. I think the guy owns both of them.
Yeah, he owns both of them.
But I can't think of the name of the bottom one. I've been there multiple times. I actually go there to watch college football because a lot of times in the off season, there's really not a lot of people there. And I'll call a bunch of buddies and we'll go and kind of take the place over by ourselves. But I'll think of it. But Rum Row. It's called Rum Row. That's
Rum Row, yeah.
I'm looking at my handwriting. I'm like, what the heck did I write here? It's called Rum Row. Check out Rum Row in Stone Harbor. You got that. The second floor is the watering hole. But I'm telling you, go to Rum Row. The seats, the nautical chairs in there, the bar is really long. They got a really good beer menu. I think that place, not a lot of people know about it. So check that out there. You go into, where am I at now? I am
you're
in
in
Stone Harbor, yes.
Yep.
I mean, Sea Isle, I actually was in Sea Isle the other day, not too long ago, and there's a lot of construction going on. They're changing some things over. I was having breakfast over there recently. What's right across the street there? It was the Ludlam place.
Well, it used to
It was supposed to be the new Ludlam was going in, and next door to it was La Costa. Right where La Costa
It's where La Costa used to be. It's all torn down.
Yeah, it's all torn down. Now, I don't know when that's going to be. Is it raining out?
It is raining out, yes.
Jeez, I'm doing Memorial Day weekend stuff, and I got rain pouring down on my head.
It was clear out Saturday, Sunday, though.
I don't care. Keep raining. Maybe. All right, so you check that out. Now, listen, somebody said before, I want to throw I'm kind of going down the island here. We started in Wildwood, went down to Brigantine, and started to work our way back here.
Right.
Now, you guys, it's a happy hour Friday, and a couple people texted in some stuff here. Check out Cape Square at Rio Grande, movie theater, bowling alley, arcade. That's your spot down there.
Yeah.
The
Cape Kitchen and Craft
is that
in
new?
there. It's about a year and a half old. It's fairly new still, but they have what's called the Cape Kitchen and Craft. It's like a restaurant and bar inside the complex. I've watched some games in there. It's a really cool spot. It's actually a circular bar, and the way the TVs are set up, you can watch anywhere around the bar.
Jeff from Summers Point says, "Man, you are saying all the best, Gil." Well, thanks, man. I'm just giving you the spots that I generally, if you are, you would bump into me generally in one of these spots here. Now, I gave you the seed. A lot of people know that I love the breweries in the area. I think we have so many great breweries in the particular Cape May, Atlantic County area. Now, most of the breweries, except for the seed, are off the islands.
Yes.
So if you're a brewery fan, you got to go off the islands, but there's so many great ones. Summers Point has Sopo, which I have the Flake News as one of my favorites. Now, when you go in there, you get the Flake News. You tell them that I recommended it for you, okay? You got to say, hey, heard about the Flake News.
Sure.
Bang. Ludlam Island is a brew pub. It
Yes.
is out in Woodbine there. Myers
it's
Lighthouse.
Like I say, the food in there is amazing.
Very good food, yes. It's very, it's like a barbecue style.
Yes.
A lot of barbecue style. Myers Lighthouse is the newer one. I like their IPAs. They change a lot on me, though. Like, they had one that I really liked one time. Every time I've been back, it has not been there. So,
I like the fact that I can always get something
got a
new.
little mini golf course there.
A little mini golf course right on Route 9.
Slack Tide, a lot of great, the building's great, very big. There's an outdoor, so if you want to go outdoor, if you're more so outdoor brewery as opposed to indoor brewery, their indoor is fine. That they just have a lot, they do food trucks and stuff like that.
By the way, they always have the Phillies game on. Keep that in mind.
They do. Myers does a good job with and so does Ludlam, has a lot of TVs too. Hidden Sands is over here in EHT. They got games on. Most of these places do a pretty good job of putting the game on. EHC, Hidden Sands. I like that building. It's upstairs and downstairs. Actually like the downstairs. I do go upstairs a lot. And they actually have like a upstairs and like a third little level there. It's a great little building to check out there. Let me see. I got Garden State and Absecon. We did some shows there. Very big. It's a good spot there. 3-3s in Hamilton. I like that spot a lot if you're out in the Hamilton area. Snouts and Stouts is in Hamilton. What I like about that spot, I've been there once, so I can't really sit here and rave. It was very good. I mean, I had a good time there. But they got the pizza place across the street. So if you're someone who likes to go close to food in a brewery, go there. Chimney, I think, is actually closing soon. They're moving to Philly, so the Hamilton one. Bear is down in Cape May. What is that considered?
Would technically be considered like Lower Township. It's near Cold Spring Village and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is a cool building outside. I'm just gonna say, if you like an outside spot, Bear has a good outside. Just tried out Buna Connection last weekend. Very impressed. I like the beer a lot. The building is very cool. Obscura, I have not been to yet.
I have been down there. I am very impressed with how they remodeled the old Bucket Brigade. The IPA menu, you gotta try it, Mike, because they got some really good IPAs down there.
Okay, we last week it was between Buna and Obscura. We decided on Obscura, and then at the last minute we made a audible because we wanted to go get the pizza from Pizzeria 203 out in Vineland.
Oh, so you went Omaha, okay.
Yep, we'd said, you know what, we really want that pizza out there, which is something to check out if you're driving through that area. Whale Tail is the old Coho. I've been there once or twice. It's over there by the Home Depot.
Yeah,
Yes.
Indian Trail Road, right outside of North Wildwood.
Yeah, big spot.
Very big spot. It's probably one of those places you have a big party of people. It'd be good to go to.
Yeah, not an outdoorsy, not like an outdoor spot. More if you want an indoor brewery, that the garage door that opens up there. We mentioned Anglesey, Mud Hen, and then at the end of the state, you got Gusto, which is probably one of my go-to favorite spots of all of the ones that I just mentioned on this list there. Yeah, Gusto, by the way, somebody checked in for Happy Hour Friday. It must have been, let's see. So we looked this beer up. This must be your buddy Josh from Cape May. He said, Gusto in the Sea just did a collaboration called Anna Mockery. Am I saying that right?
Anna Mockery, yeah.
Anna Mockery is the name of the beer. I got to check this one out. Now, can I get this at the Seed or
You have
only
to go down
at
the Gusto.
Okay. The Seed's a little closer to me.
Well,
but,
I would say you might know a guy who might be going down there this weekend. Might be able to help you out.
Okay. Now, I will say for a couple things. If you're in the area, you're down here for a week or the summer or whatever you're doing, coming back, you got to check out. Now, I tried to get a pizza tonight at Squares and Fairs in Summers Point. No dice. No spots open for a regular pizza. So I'm out. Bupkis. But you got to go on the website and order the pizza.
Ahead of time.
Yeah. If you're like the grandma-style pie, bang, right there. I'm checking out some other pizza options tonight. If anybody has a pizza spot for me to go tonight, let me know. Now, some people have been texting in, 609-403-0973, all day long with their Happy Hour Friday. So if you're new, you're listening in for the first time, it's Happy Hour Friday. You tell us, give me a recommendation for a beer to drink for the weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend, so definitely want to get a couple extra things in there. So let us know, 609-403-0973. My buddy brought over my house last weekend. He brought over a 4-pack of Water Guns and Rainbows from Ludlam. That is in my fridge for this weekend. We will be checking that out. And I want to also say, now I don't remember the name of the beer, but my buddy stopped at the liquor store. They were listeners of Happy Hour Friday, and they gave me a beer to sample. It's a collaboration beer. I wish I took a picture of it so I remembered it. But if they're listening, I have not tried the beer yet. So I am planning on doing that 4 o'clock Phillies game on Sunday on the porch. We'll be on the YouTube channel live, so you can watch us on the porch. I will sample that beer on Sunday for the Phillies-A's game, 4 o'clock start. So that is when I plan on checking out that. And then also the new, I don't know if they're open yet, but Wanderbach is got a beer that is sitting in my fridge now as well, and I will be checking that out at some point.
I was just going to say, don't forget to take a picture of the beer.
Oh, I will.
So you can bring it to the audience now for next week's Happy Hour Friday.
Yeah, so next weekend for the Happy Hour Friday, I will have the name of that one that the liquor store gave to my buddy for me to try.
Nice.
And then the Wanderbach, I forget the name of the beer, but it was from Wanderbach, which is going to be out in Vineland soon here.
Yes, they're opening in Vineland.
Yes, and Water Guns and Rainbows is over at Ludlam there. So there you go. There's a little bit of a spin around on some of the things to check out down the shore this summer season here from the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, that is about it for me. I got the Bet365 play of the day for you, and that's coming up next on 97.3 ESPN. All right, 5:53, getting ready to get out of here on a happy hour Friday. Thanks to everybody who's a part of the show. Got some people sending the pictures in. Whole lot of haze from Smutty Nose Brewing Company. It's a nice can there, gentlemen. New England. I like that can. I got to check that out. Where'd you get that thing? Let me know. Zach and EHT. Appreciate you, Zach. Mike, if you like your grandma's pizza, go to Zorro's at Margate. I'll check that out. I've actually heard that before, Tom. I got to go check that out. All right, here you go. Bet365 play of the day. How'd we do last night?
You went 1-1, Mike. The T-Wolves couldn't cover the 8.5-point spread, but the Liberty didn't just win by more than 12.5. They won by 25. So you're now 171, 112-1.
Hope the people took my WNBA play.
And ignored your T-Wolves.
2-0 on the WNBA plays.
You are so far this season, yes.
Yeah, I got a little information for you there. All right, I like the over tonight, 224.5 in the Knicks-Pacers game. That is my Bet365 play of the day. Over tonight on a Friday night. Only one play for Memorial Day weekend. I don't want you betting my plays all weekend long. Go have fun. You want to have a little something tonight since it's raining out. Take the over tonight. Other than that, what's the record, by the way?
171, 112-1.
171, 112-1.
So you're at 60 games above 500.
Yeah, that'll win you some money, okay? I'll pay off some debts.
By the way, late nights for the Phillies this weekend.
Yeah, I don't like it. 10:30s?
10:05 tonight and tomorrow night.
4:05 on the porch. Check us out on the YouTube channel. Sunday, 4 o'clock, we'll be on the porch for Phillies A's. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you right here on the Sports Bash Live back on Tuesday on the Sports Bash.